Hey, everybody.
Hey, welcome to ThornBridge X Unfiltered in the TBX studios. I'm Jennifer. This is my husband, Glenn. Tonight, we have a retired homicide detective to discuss the case. Let's get started.
Hey, guys.
Welcome in, everybody. It's Saturday night. Thank you so much for joining us. So, we have a really interesting guest that a lot of you were requesting to come back again. And we are so excited. It's Glenn's brother in law, Brian.
He's back. There he is.
Hey,
Hey, Brian.
How are y'all doing tonight?
You need to turn that down.
So
Sorry.
we're here hanging out. We got
Yeah.
my mom here, your mother-in-law.
Turn it all the way off, the volume.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's see here. We're gonna tonight is gonna be all about procedural kind of things. Can you turn your? Thank you. So anyway, we're just sitting here. We're got some questions for you, and we're gonna let people also ask questions that are gonna come in and get on chat and be able to see what their questions may be for you. Sorry, I got thrown off a little bit. There was a phone off in the background here, and I
It's
was
a
hearing it
family night.
twice.
We have Glenn's mom here tonight too, who's
She had her
watching.
phone up.
It's totally fine. She's
So-
excited that her son-in-law is here too. So, Brian. So we're really excited to have you, Brian. Thank you so much for coming back. It was literally by popular demand. So we had a lot of people saying, "When is Brian coming back?" So
We've received a lot of emails and chats, text messages, comments on our YouTube channel. It always was, when's Brian coming back? Can you throw this question to him? So I was like, I'm not going to bother him every 10 minutes with a question. So we thought if you'd come back on, we've got 20 questions. Some of them came off of the comment section on YouTube, chat from all of the episodes. Where else did it come from? Just emails. We have our tips line that
Yep.
people send emails in. So these are kind of the boiled down questions. There was a lot more, and then we'll open it up to people. If in the chat you have a question, we'll try to get to it if we have time. If someone sends it on an email, I'm monitoring the email right now too. With that, I want to just do a couple quick things, Jen, so we can remind people that is the tips at tbxunfiltered.com is our tips line. You're always welcome to leave a comment on our YouTube channel too, on any episode or just in the community. There's a community page on YouTube homepage. You can leave a comment there, and mostly Jennifer, really monitors those.
I'm trying. I'm trying
yeah.
to keep up.
And she's like, I want to put a lot of thought into every answer. So she really thinks about it. We've received some really, really interesting
Yeah.
things. I mean, you can say they're tips, I guess. And of course, we're on Spotify. So if you're in your car and you want to listen while you're on the road or on your app on your phone, just search ThornBridge X Unfiltered on Spotify. And a quick reminder, Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, we're on 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, 8 p.m., except for Wednesday, 7. We're on a little earlier, so we can go watch one of our favorite streamers, Patriot Pride Official, their YouTube channel.
So we hope you join us on those nights. And we sure appreciate you joining us on a Saturday night. We know some people may have date night, but if you're on the replay crew, we appreciate it. Just be sure and like it if you enjoy the episode, and be sure and subscribe if you want to keep joining us.
And then one other thing,
We are so excited.
our official merch store is open for business. And what's cool about we're blown away because I think I mentioned it in the chat on the last episode, and we're blown away with all of the people who've been buying a lot of stuff, and
Thank you so
everything
much,
is
everybody.
still
for
in
supporting us.
stock, which is good. So of course it has exclusive, merch like everybody. It's the TBX logo stuff, and then every purchase supports the mission for Jennifer to get out there and travel and go get some answers. And then if you buy anything during a live show, like tonight, you get a huge shout out on the screen. It's automatic. It'll tell us, hey, someone just bought something. So with that, I think what we should do is probably go to the first question if you're ready.
Yes.
Because everybody will get right to it. So again, Brian, how long were you a H detective? Or yeah, we can say it, homicide detective.
I spent about 10 years in the homicide unit. I've been a detective for a total of 21 years. 10 of it was in the homicide unit.
Good. So most of these are questions about your career, obviously, but I don't know if you can see that. Jennifer, if you want to read that first question.
Sure. I'm going to put my readers on. So it's funny. I can read that better, but certain things I need my readers off. So that's why I take them on and off.
Did the black and white.
Is it normal practice for law enforcement agencies to lie to the public or let them believe something is not true if it protects the public? We actually get this question a lot about, do you intentionally mislead the public when you're trying to do a investigation and catch the perp, so to speak?
That's not the preferred method. You throw the term normal around like, yeah, we do it all the time.
That's why
Our
that word
job
normal
is
is in there.
Yeah, our job is to solve a case, but our job is also to protect the public. So we're not going to sugarcoat. If there's a real threat to the public out there, we're not going to hide that fact because we don't want this bad guy or bad girl to do something else to someone, to another innocent victim. So if there's let's say a serial killer out there, and this is
Oh,
actually
goodness.
a real case that was targeting what we thought were prostitutes back in the day. And
We're getting canceled.
it wouldn't be right to lie and say, oh no, these are just random. We owe it to the public to let them know if you're in this line of work. And we actually went out and because we have a vice unit that has sources and names of people that are in that line of work, and we told them, there's someone out there that might be targeting you. So, to answer, so it's a long way of saying it's not the preferred way, but um, if we can meet an end to catch someone without harming other people, then it's something that we have in our toolbox. So the term normal is kind of like, yeah, we do it all the time. That's not the preferred way. Now, I think one of the things we talked about, or a question you had earlier, maybe this will come up. We don't, if there's information that's floating around that we know to be false, that it came from a source that was unreliable, we're not going to necessarily go out and correct it just because it's wrong information, right? We're not going to correct information necessarily unless, again, it's a means to the end of solving the case or
Oh,
protecting the public.
interesting. Yeah, and I
Yeah,
know some of these questions may be a little overlapped from the first time you were on episode 1, but we have a lot more people now watching than we did on episode 1. We had a couple hundred subscribers, and now we're up more 1,900 or something. So we thought these are some of the questions that people that didn't see the first episode, we referred them to it, but they were still asking. They were curious because I think that we feel like there's been a lot of misinformation, maybe purposely put out. We're hoping that it's because they may already know who it is, and so they're just trying to like brush us off or
it,
whatever, the public.
it could very well be. Again, if there's again, all I can speak to is my police department, which was the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department. If it's a means to conclude the case, then we will. But it's not preferred to just go out there and not tell the truth.
I think there's been some
Yeah.
concerns with some of the press conferences that have been, I don't want to say misleading. I would just say you feel like you're watching someone chase their tail and it won't stop. So it's like, and you get confused which way is up and which way is down. One, press conference, we have him saying that they're not really sure if they're going to get anything. They can't get anything off of the camera, and this is early in the beginning. Unfortunately, there was no subscription. We're not going to be able to do that. And then the next thing you know, we have video, of the perp. Then there's another press conference that says, we're no longer discussing this with the public, and this is the sheriff, or discussing it with, the Guthrie family. I'm no longer in contact with them. I would suggest that if you have any questions, you direct them towards the FBI. And then Kash Patel gets on national news, and somebody asked him about the Nancy Guthrie case, and he said, we're in an assist position. We've always been in an assist position. This is a state matter, a local matter. So I would direct any of that information to Pima County. It's just been like, what? Like, you don't know what's going on. And then
Which way's up?
yeah. And then back to the information that goes to the public, there's things like, we have no person of interest. We have no car of interest. Yet they're pleading with the public to help them. And then we keep hearing from neighbors, our emails, saying, I don't know what they're talking about. There's been multiple people that have said that there's been this type of vehicle that was seen on a camera and this type of vehicle that was seen repeatedly before and after, Mrs. Guthrie was missing. So I think there's been a tendency for people to wonder if they're misleading the public, and not in the sense of, I think a lot of us feel like there isn't maybe imminent danger to the public. Having said that, they said they don't know who did this. So if this is a serial, old lady abductor, it would be nice to know.
Oh, lady snatcher.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if I'm going to guess, and again, I don't know, but given the public nature of this investigation, if they came out and said, "Well, we do have a person of interest in mind," the press is never going to stop. So, in my opinion, that's probably just a way to say, "Look, stop asking. I'm not going to tell you any information." It's just a nicer way of saying no comment. Um, that would be my guess, because certainly if I were in this situation, I would not give any information about potential suspects, because it's, again, due to the public nature, it's going to be nonstop questions.
That
Where
makes
you at? Are
sense.
they going to get arrested soon? And this could take a long time.
Mm.
This could take a long time. That's what
Let's see
I
what
would do
else.
if that were if I were the case detective.
Yeah, you're answering some of our future questions already. So the next one is.
You shouldn't have sent
Go
them.
ahead.
You should have sent them to me in advance, Glenn.
Oh, that's right. You probably know some of these. The second question, can detectives publicly clear someone while privately continuing to examine them as a possible suspect? I think that's kind of the same thing. If
Well,
they're
you
lying
need to
us.
explain why people have been asking that.
Well, I want to see what he
Yeah,
says.
Okay.
yeah. I mean, we don't publicly clear people. You mean like come out at a press conference and say Glenn Horowitz is no longer a suspect in this case?
Yes.
Is that what you
This is
mean
what
by
she wanted to
publicly
prep you
clear?
on, and you said exactly what she was thinking you were going to say.
He told me, that's why he pinched me. He said, don't say anything. Let Brian say it
This
first.
is real, folks. We're not. No one's prepped here, or
This is unfiltered.
Yeah.
Um, I, I mean, they could. I don't know why they would do that. That doesn't make a lot of sense unless, again, they're trying to make a person whom they think is a suspect comfortable to possibly slip up down the road. That would be my guess. I can't imagine them doing that.
They did.
Right.
So,
So it could be a ruse to try and flush someone out, get them to exhibit some behavior that they're looking for, possibly to maybe slip up, maybe give away some piece of information that they're looking for. I
very
don't. Again, I don't
interesting.
know why they would. I don't know why they would do that, except to elicit some sort of behavior.
Well,
Would be my
do you
guess.
want me to
But
kind
they
of tell
can't.
you
I
that?
mean, there's no
Thank you.
public King's X where if I say, this person we're no longer looking at them as a suspect. There's no King's X like they can't be looked at down the road or even continuously.
Well, what's interesting is in the beginning, per another YouTuber that's a famous one. It's actually Ashley Banfield. I don't know if you've heard of her. She was a reporter for a long time with I think it was Fox in Dallas, and then
Yeah.
she went on to national news and Newsmax or News Nation rather. Anyway, she now has her own podcast. It's really famous. It's on true crime. And she came out initially and said that she had an informant that was involved in the case and or a source. And so I think she later said it was somebody within Pima County, and that the person had given her quite a bit of information about what the crime scene looked like. Doors were propped open, biological evidence, blood evidence on the inside of the door area, as well as the outside that matched. And unfortunately, at the time, she said, I'm just repeating what I've been told. My source said that the brother-in-law seems to be the primary suspect at this point. And everybody was just aghast. I mean, because that's Savannah Guthrie's brother-in-law. That's her sister's husband. So anyway, as time went on, people kept asking, is there a person of interest? What about,
Right.
the son-in-law? And he specifically said to the public, I'm not clearing anyone. Everyone is a suspect at this point until we have someone in custody. And he kept repeating that narrative every single press conference because I think people wanted to know, not to mention there was a huge law enforcement presence 4 times at their home.
Yeah.
Four searches, separate searches, neighborhood searches, home searches. 10 o'clock at night, they showed up. We're taking evidence bags out, taking photos. You could see flash photography going on inside. It was just pretty suspicious. Then they took their car, and it's like, oh, they impounded their car. Big deal. These are the last people to see her alive. You would think that they would be investigated. And except that the car, instead of being like the other people who were detained, instead of those being returned in a week as those were, their car was kept for almost 40 days. So long story short, at that point, people started asking again. And he said, like I said before, nobody is cleared. And then it was like, what, 24 hours later?
Not long after.
He comes out saying, at this point, the family is cleared. And we went, what? And then people started asking, when I say people, media started asking the FBI if they had a comment on that. And they said no comment. So I think a lot of people thought it was strange. And then when I had spoken to you, you said usually that's the DA, at least that's what I thought I understand. That's the person that can clear somebody. So we wanted to get your opinion because I thought maybe I messed up on some of the information I was sharing. And I just wanted to make sure that we were repeating what is normal and customary. And in a high profile case, maybe there's a lot of pressure to clear somebody.
Yeah, it sounds to me like he said the right thing. I mean, family could be under pressure, and he said at this time we're clearing the family. Doesn't mean that they couldn't be picked up again later. I would think the family's probably getting pestered a lot of press. Did you do it? Maybe some threats because Savannah is very popular, and this is her mom, and then sister and husband. I don't know. Um, and when you say clear from an investigation, it's really the the investigating authority is the one that will submit a case to the district attorney with the person they believe is a suspect. So it's not really a DA that can clear; it's whom the law enforcement agency determines is the suspect.
Yeah.
That's how someone either gets cleared or accused. It's the law enforcement agency, not the district attorney. The district
So
attorney may say, "Yeah, this case doesn't have enough evidence. I'm not going to prosecute them." I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
no, that makes sense. So my question is, when they do come out and say something like that, when obviously the person's been under extreme scrutiny, I'm assuming that maybe there was evidence that came back that we're not privy to, that, eliminated them from being, you know, I guess part of a person of interest. But then my thought is, in the original statement that he made to everybody, it was nobody's cleared until we have someone in custody. So I
Right.
think it threw everybody off. It was like, why would you make that statement multiple times and like 24 hours before
And then change it.
and then change it?
It just, I don't know. It could have just been to relieve some pressure from them. Maybe they had an alibi that they weren't, maybe they, I don't know, maybe they had an alibi, they were home, or their Ring camera showed they never left. Um, it's hard to say. But remember, if I'm hearing your words correctly, he said at this time,
Oh, don't
we have,
quote me. Do you remember what he said?
Not exactly. But what did the lawyer say on that other deal?
it
Is
doesn't mean he wasn't involved as a co-conspirator or she. I don't mean to know if it was a him or her that might be involved. It doesn't
Yes,
mean
in
that
my
they,
opinion. Yeah.
right. My opinion, they could be involved as a co-conspirator, but they weren't involved in the actual incident on the night, at least at that time, with what the sheriff has. And it could
Okay.
have probably just to relieve some pressure off of them, would be my guess.
perfect. So in the chat, we'll break for some of y'all's questions here shortly. In between some of these other questions, I'm marking, favoriting, so I'm keeping up with it. Don't think we don't see your questions that are coming in.
Well, I can't see him physically.
Oh,
I'm
got my
blind.
phone turned.
It's so small on the screen. So I'd
Yeah.
have to like do this. That's
So
a little
let's
better.
change that one. Your turn, Jen.
Oh, okay. Is returning a major crime scene to the family or owner of the property that was the crime scene within 48 hours normal? In
Well,
this
so I,
case,
There's that word again.
it was like,
Norm.
well, I know. I would just say, could it be in the normal realm? I think it was actually like 32 hours or 30 hours from the time she was discovered missing that they released it. And again, she was the only occupant of the home.
define what you mean by major.
Like a level of this case where someone's been abducted and probably worse.
Where they bring out, homicide detectives and searchers, and they realize that it's a little bit more than a walk away, that they know something.
And she's the only occupant of the home. There's no reason to even
Okay,
rush.
so you're talking about some sort of extreme crime, um,
Definitely.
and not just like a burglary or something.
No, in this
The
case, she was abducted. The detective that came
Right,
on scene thinking that she was a walkaway, it just said
right,
missing 84-year-old woman who has severe mobility issues. She cannot walk further than 50 feet without a struggle. She has a pacemaker. She's on blood thinners. She needs her medication. We got to hear part of the dispatch phone call that went out to the detective, and the detective gets on scene and realizes it's not a walkaway and sees
right.
the, blood evidence at the door and determines something bad has happened here, calls in a homicide. And like I said, from that point forward, it was less, I think it was like 30 hours later, 32 hours later, it was released back to the family. And there were people walking up as in Amazon delivery, walking up
Right.
to
So
the
the
door,
short
stepping over the blood evidence. It's like,
the short answer is yes, it's normal. They don't hold scenes based on a clock. It's when the evidence is gathered and processed and a thorough crime scene investigation has been done, they will release it. There's no reason to hold on to something just because. The reason I say that is
Hmm.
let's say that if they keep the crime scene, they need to keep officers or deputies at the scene standing on all four corners. So it's a lot of manpower just in case you learn something down the road, right? It could be 2 weeks. It could be 3 days later they learn something new. Oh wait, we need that. That's why you do a thorough investigation initially. It doesn't sound like they did, at least from what I've heard from the podcast the last time. But typically, we do our investigation, we get all the resources we need in there at the time we have it so that we don't have to go back and we don't have to use a lot of manpower sitting there for 3 days just in case we need to get back in.
Yeah, which they did have to get back in apparently a couple
Right.
times.
And you know, again, you know, you had the term major. I must say, in my 10 years, I never worked an abduction. They're extremely rare. Something like this. I've worked plenty of cases where you know what has occurred. I don't know what I can say and what I can't say.
You're right.
Yeah.
I've worked plenty of those cases where there's been a body, there hasn't been a body, but we knew that something bad had happened based on the evidence at the scene, right?
Hmm.
In this case, you know, it's kind of, you know, it's kind of, you know, is it or isn't it? Probably it is. They hopefully did a good job up front. They probably learned some things afterwards that made them go back. That's just that's just bad luck. I mean, it's not normal routine to just hold a crime scene forever and ever until the case is solved because that's just not a good use of manpower.
It's interesting because I just felt like there was no reason to hand it back to the family yet because there was no one living there.
There's no
Um,
reason to hold, there's no reason to hold turn it
yeah,
back.
and that's what I'm
That,
saying. I hear your side now going, but there's no reason to hold because there's a not a liability, but a money liability too. They have to probably maintain the scene while they're in the control of it,
yes,
right?
someone they have to have all four sides or three. You know, there needs to be a sufficient number of law enforcement personnel there to make sure it's not contaminated by onlookers, reporters, whomever. So there is a resource that needs to be expended to make sure that it's not contaminated. It's not enough just to lock the door, right?
Right.
I,
I think
I
we
can
were
tell
all
you how
shocked.
I can tell you how many crime scenes we've had where someone lived alone, the neighbors knew it. As soon as the police left, they were busting out windows, stealing everything. I
Oh
mean,
man.
it's just, yeah, there's no, you have to use the resources to protect the crime scene just in case you go back. So we do our investigation, we do it thoroughly, we hopefully get whatever we need. There have been scenes, though, where we have kept it. I'm not going to say it doesn't happen that we've come back and said we need to come back in daylight or we need these resources and they're not in right now. They're not they won't be back till tomorrow. Um,
To that point, FBI was on site almost immediately. And this is
FBI?
yeah, and this is
Oh.
secondhand information, but because I'm listening to what Cash Patel said, I'm trusting that he was telling the truth. That they had over 500 personnel in a FBI plane flown in, ready to collect any DNA evidence and take it straight to Quantico. And they asked, "Can we come in because they have to be invited?" And Pima County said no, and they released the scene in like 32 hours before they let FBI in. And FBI wasn't let in for 4 days. So it just, and they sent their DNA off to a different lab. It just feels a little strange in a high profile case to, the armchair detectives in our audience and in our living room. So it just felt a little strange that they let it go. But to your point, I guess I understand if they got the evidence that they needed. I think a lot of people felt like, what's the rush? Um, the I guess the comparison is this. This will make more sense. On the Koberger case, they had somebody there. Glenn said, well,
Well, that news report was a 30-day-old news, video of, person with the mic on scene, and there was I don't know what you call it, a squad car or whatever that was there, and so she was asking about it, and they said, yeah, it has 24/7 security, and that was day 30. So I don't know how long they maintained that scene, but that was for young adults. They know they were emmed because
well, it
they were
was,
there. I
yeah.
mean, it was probably a different level of crime, I guess, and probably like what I'm gathering now is a whole hell of a lot more evidence to gather on that one.
yeah, I mean, a
Um,
month seems a little bit long. I mean, it might have been a
well,
really
there's at
big
least
house.
a month.
But we've had scenes where we've had, you know, five bodies and, you know, a body somewhere else that was related. And, you know, within a day or two, we were all wrapped up. It's not, it
Okay.
just depends on
Well,
when the evidence is collected and the coroner can take possession of the victims. There's steps that have to be accomplished, and once they're accomplished, to hold the scene, just to hold it, it's not something that we typically do.
So to quote Jim Carrey, so you're saying there's a chance.
well, I think the funny thing, not funny at all, not funny at all. I'm wrong word. I think it was shocking for me and everybody. And now we're being educated that this is kind of normal, that a horrible event like this can happen. They give the house back, and then Brian Enton walks up with his little, camera, the trail of blood that, in fact, we can kind of play that a little bit while we're talking about it. And there's a little trail of blood that he catches. Then we realize, and then within, I don't even know, 24 hours, which was 48 hours after they gave it back, within another day, you got the pool guy showing up. A sprinkler head is popped off. So there's a sprinkler plumber guy there fixing it. Amazon's delivering a package, and someone's putting a card on the door from adult services or whatever. So we're all going, my gosh, I mean, this is crazy. Then a few
Oh,
days goes by, and then FBI is out there tenting off the front area right here that we're looking at. And what are they doing? I don't know, because they tented it off, so we didn't see anything. But all of this was left, all this evidence out in the open, which I'm sure, like you're telling us, they gather what they needed to off of
this
it, I
is a
guess.
reporter's video. This is the
Right.
minute they cleared the scene, and there's the door on the special,
The
adult
camera.
services. They left the T-shirt. I don't know if you noticed the T-shirt out in front, but that was from, I guess, them doing a dog search, a canine search. People were like, "What's the T-shirt doing?" It was Nancy's. They left it out there. It was just very. I guess none of us. I mean, this isn't something that any of us do on a regular basis, let alone have a front bird's eye view of immediately after something like this. Usually, I feel like the scenes like that are locked down and you don't get to see anything. So I'm glad you're kind of clearing some of this up because I think some of
Right.
us have been maybe wrongly upset. Maybe they did get what they needed.
I just
Well,
stopped the
and
video there for a second. I wanted to ask you a question. Do you think those are obviously not sheriff's personnel? There's people have said that they think it's the district attorney or some level of, attorney. Do those look like federal FBI people to you, or are those detectives, or
Most people have said those are feds and a federal DA.
not that you can tell, but they're dressed a little differently than everybody else we saw out there those few days.
well, I don't know many law enforcement people that wear heels. It looks like the woman in
Correct, she
picture.
is. That was a
Um,
comment we heard too.
Somebody said thought
heels
that there
just
was
are
a
not.
federal
Heels are not.
prosecutor.
Could have been. I mean, if they're going on scene, they typically would have different shoes, but
Like
who?
her.
I mean, it would just be speculation. She looks like a crime scene person.
Interesting.
Um, I
Well,
don't
let's
know. It's
go
hard to
on
tell.
to
Yeah, they thought
Hard
it
to
was
tell.
FBI with a federal prosecutor, but all right.
I've never seen an AUSA go out to a crime scene. Of course, I never worked anything like this. I have worked some federal cases, but typically AUSAs don't go out.
Really?
what?
At
Did you know
least in
that,
our
Mom?
district.
These other shows we're watching made it sound like that was a big deal. They're like, that's a big deal. That's probably a federal prosecutor. And
Maybe in a different in a different district. It is. I haven't worked any cases where AUSA has been out. They've come to the station house. They've done other things, but I don't think they've ever been,
Isn't that
at least that I
shocking?
can remember, been on a
to a
scene.
crime scene.
Wow.
Interesting. So
Yeah,
who do you
because
think that would
I
be
mean,
then?
what would they do there? I don't. We don't even have our our county prosecutors go out to crime scenes rarely because they can't do anything except get in the way.
This is
My mouth
really,
is hanging
really, really
open.
good information.
So
We've
who
been
would
told
those?
so much different things.
I, I'm literally flabbergasted. So who do you think they were? There's Nancy's shirt.
That's evidence laying there.
Well, not.
Well, it's the
I think they
shirt they use
used
for the hounds
for
to
the
try
hounds.
and
Yeah.
locate her, and they just left the shirt there.
And that's from the porch guy when he took the greenery
And
and
I'm
Let me throw this back at you guys. What would an attorney do
mm,
at a crime, or a team of attorneys do at a
oh,
crime scene?
well, if I'm, talking Perry Mason, I mean, sometime or, Matlock, they would show up to show the jury or show, I like how it worked out and what do you think, like how to prosecute? Like
well, yeah. At this
I don't know.
stage,
Now I feel like I'm dumb.
yeah, at this early stage, I don't know. But
Right.
going
I don't
past
know.
this stage, I started thinking because after talking to you on episode one, where you said you've had many cases where you've basically had a smoking gun, a smoking pew pew, as they say, and it didn't matter that the district attorney said you needed more, and it's a frustrating act between you've got everything you think you need and then you find out that you don't. So I thought maybe they come in early to go, hey, this is what we're going to need on this case,
Right.
but that was really early. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well, we watch a show called The Interview Room and we really like it. He's, was a homicide detective for a long time, did some what he calls heater cases. He has his boss on there, who's, since retired, but did it for a very long time. And another friend of theirs that also worked homicide, I think in Wyoming or Denver.
Yeah, somewhere up there.
Anyway, so you kind of have these three, seasoned guys on there. And I think it was Bob Gilliam that said that they were pretty sure that those were federal prosecutors out there. He said that's a normal thing for them to come out. He made it sound like it was normal. I don't quote me,
Yeah.
but the impression that I got was that would be normal when they've got a high profile case that they need to see the scene and kind of look at how to move forward with this in court. But to your point, now that you've said it like that, I don't know what would they do there. So if
I don't
it's
know what they
not,
would do.
who
I
would that
mean,
be?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Because the other guys were dressed, in my opinion, like real law enforcement. I mean, some of them had gloves on, some of them were bending down and taking more photos. And
And it could have, you know what? It could have been a FBI supervisor.
So just
They might
feds.
dress a little bit differently than a field agent. Maybe the person heels was a supervisor. I don't know. I just don't know when she may have been AUSA. Maybe they brought her out just to look around. I honestly don't know. So the crime scene was released. I do know that. So it doesn't matter what any case is. If this were my case when I showed up, nobody is allowed in except for me, my boss, and the one crime scene technician doing the work. That is it. No one is walking through, not my boss's boss, not the chief of police. They're not allowed in the scene. Period. While I have the scene. Because that contaminates it, right? It doesn't matter the profile of the case. What matters is who's allowed in there, and everyone in there has to sign the crime scene log. We have a crime scene log, and really, no one is allowed in there once I'm there. It's taped off. Now, when I release it, anyone can go in there. But while I'm
Okay.
in control processing, I'm not letting attorneys, I'm not letting bosses. It's me, my boss, and the crime scene technician. And that's it. That is it. No one else is allowed in there.
Man,
yep,
this is really
Doesn't matter the
interesting.
profile of the case.
unbelievable. All right.
But
I
this is
have
all
so many, I have so
after.
many side questions and it just left my brain.
Yeah,
So we'll go
let's
on to the
get
next
through
one.
some of these,
Yeah.
but I wanted to put I see this person in the hang on, let me get that. There you go. How do you Zane? I
I think it's
see.
Zanaya.
Yeah, we really appreciate what she's on here, or he, whatever, is on here a lot.
It's a girl. We
My
love
question
Zanaya.
is: there are a lot of public interest in the case. Oops, did you get that, Brian?
Yeah. Their their only obligation is to public safety and um, finding the
Good question.
suspects. I know that everyone is interested, and they if there's nothing new, there's really no reason to have a press conference to rehash what's already known. Law enforcement isn't going to tell what they're currently doing because that may
Mm.
divulge too much information on the case. It might have the bad actor change
That was
change what they're
interesting.
doing. Um, so they're not going to play their hand too much.
So that
So
was
they're
what
not
I was,
under any real obligation. What's that?
okay, that makes sense. No, that was going to be my question is to Zanea's point, like obligation to inform the public. And you were talking about, locking it down because you don't have to too much divulging too much. On that subject of divulging too much, they had a leaker. They had somebody that was leaking that was obviously part of the first team in, which you're making it sound like it may be you, your boss. Who else could possibly be there? Like maybe the original deputy
Mm.
on
Right.
scene?
Yeah. 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 So we don't. I'm not the first one there. The original patrol officers, the district officers, get there. What they should have done is seen something was amiss, backed out, kept everybody out, um, and then called the homicide unit. I don't know their protocol in
It sounds like that's
Pumat
what they
County.
did, Brian. That's at least that's what was reported to the public. But
Right.
having said that, what if you found out that a huge newscaster is out there going, "So I have a person that said like literally like the day it happened, like it was less than 24 hours, that this is what the doors were propped open, nothing was missing, there was blood." I mean, that's obviously the person that saw it. I wouldn't think it would take a brain surgeon to figure out who leaked that. What are the repercussions for that?
There's no repercussions. It could have been someone, that wrote the report that I'm sure all their reports are digital, right? Could have been anyone on the police department could have looked at it and then reported to someone. I don't know.
Wow.
It's possible it could have been anyone. It's possible it could have been anyone. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, there's certain things that probably shouldn't have been divulged. Um, at the end of the day, they were, and it's an internal matter on the police department to find out, or sheriff's department who did it, and discipline them, whatever that may be in their internal protocols. It's not really a crime per se, but it could have been anyone. I could have
So
been
no one was
anyone.
going to the guillotine the next day?
Yeah. I mean, could have been the officer who came out and told the two other officers that were there, and one of them told their spouse. And before, I mean, you just never know. You never, never, never know. That's why it's so
Interesting.
important to keep the important information contained, because you don't want information to get out there. I think I said this the last time I was on. We wouldn't even oftentimes reveal the means of attack, whether it could be a choo-choo or some other weapon, because the
Got
only
it.
ones that know that are going to be the detective and the medical examiner and the bad actor that did it, right? So, I think one of your questions was about tips calls, and we may get to it. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
uh,
no, it's okay. We
ahead.
can.
But if we get a tipster that says, "Yeah, I know that Brian Bell did this, and he pulled out a knife," well, if we didn't release that it was a knife that was the weapon, then hey, maybe this tipster knows something. But if it was, if he said, if the weapon was a choo choo, then we know that the tipster is full of what, just trying to get a lesser sentence or whatever. So we try to keep as much information close to the vest as we can, because that helps us down the road.
Makes sense. All right,
Because
next
there's,
one.
yeah, okay.
Is it normal for investigators to continue collecting evidence after the property or scene has been released? As I mentioned
No,
before, they went back numerous times to Mrs. Guthrie's. Then they went back, well, at least three more times. It was four times total to Annie Guthrie's.
um, just bad luck that they didn't get it the first time. It's not normal. because I think, like I said the last time, it's been contaminated. I guess it depends on what they're getting. If it's DNA, fingerprints, it's going to be almost impossible to get anything from. But if there's something specific they were looking for, like let's say there was a bullet hole in a wall, they didn't get the bullet out the last time, and they want to get the bullet out now. Um, I've had cases where we missed something for whatever reason, and let's say it was in the basement, hidden under something that we missed, and a family member calls and says, "Hey, you might want to come out and get this." Then we would go out and get something specific. Um, it just depends. It's just bad luck. I mean, you've got a big house, 3,000 square foot home. We're not going to find everything,
Okay.
but we may need to go back out again for trace evidence like a hair fiber, DNA. It's going to be really difficult to show the provenance of that hair fiber, that it was the bad guys or bad girls.
That's what our
Um,
concern is. There's a rootless hair that's been, um, I guess, rumored to be part of the DNA collection at Nancy's. And they said we're going to have to. I thought it was a little strange that he even divulged that they're going to have to use genetic genealogy. I feel like we're sending it off, to the DNA lab, and I feel like that should have been the end of it. But then there's like an update of, well, it was really hard. We've had mixed DNA, then we have a rootless hair, and I'm like, wow, kind of telling us all the different DNAs. I don't know. Is
yeah,
that
that, that
is that
that seems odd
customary?
that they would seems odd that they would do that. But to answer the question on the scene, no, it's not normal. It's just bad luck
All
that
right.
they missed it the first time.
All right.
Or poor police work. I don't know. Hopefully it was bad luck, not poor crime scene investigation.
And again, a lot of these questions are from our viewers, and some of them, may seem like easy answers, like we should know, but there's so many things that we thought we
Not me.
would understand or know, and then it's like we're at the Mad Hatter's tea party constantly. It's like something that you think you'd know is like, no, that's not how it works, and we're like, what? I thought
Right.
that's
Well,
how it
that's what.
worked in the last other cases. So in this case, people are asking what kinds of evidence take the longest to analyze, and I think this person may have asked this because originally, we were told that if they have DNA evidence, we could know the answer in a week. Then it was, if it's in CODIS, it'll be quickly, but if it's not in CODIS, it may take longer, maybe a month, maybe two. Well, now we're 5 months in. And so I think a lot of people have assumed it's probably genetic genealogy at this point. But is it possible, answering this question, the part B to that is that they may already have the DNA evidence and they're just not telling us? And then I'll let you go. There we go.
It's absolutely possible they would have the DNA evidence and they're not telling you. I don't know how long it takes to process DNA. I know it used to take a long time, but again, I've been retired for 8 years, and so things speed up. You're absolutely right. If it's in the CODIS database, then they need to get a comparison sample from the person to verify. Um, I think that was one of your questions too, Glenn, about comparison samples. And so they'd have to do that. Maybe they're holding up on that. Who knows? I don't know. But if it were my investigation and I got a DNA hit on suspect, I wouldn't tell the public, yeah, we got a DNA hit. Um, that's just
Hmm.
nothing I would release. What would be the benefit of doing that until you're ready to indict? I mean, because that would be in an indictment. But again, like we talked about, without a body, what are you indicting for? You know,
It's a problem.
the napping part, the murder part. There's not enough information to even put forth, at least from what I know, to even put forth an indictment for a crime unless you know that that person was the one that did X, whatever X crime was, because there's
Hmm.
probably several crimes involved here, but the top one is going to be the M, right? That's going to be the highest classification. So ultimately, everything's going to roll up into that, but you can't prove that until you find a body. And so they may have evidence to prosecute someone for something, but they don't know what crime they would be prosecuting for yet.
Implicated for. All right.
Um, so that everything could just be on hold. Um, but if the DNA is not in CODIS, then they've got to go out and figure out, hope for a match one day. Or if they think, so I remember we had a case where we had some DNA and we thought we knew who the suspect was, and we didn't get a CODIS match. We actually he was on a bus. We knew we knew he bought a bus ticket. We knew we wanted to get him on a bus. We trailed him. There were a team of like 10 detectives that trailed him all the way down from Missouri to Texas to get some DNA on something that he had touched, bring it back and matched it. It did ended up not matching. But so if there's not a CODIS match and you think you have someone that you like for a possible match, we need to get that person's DNA by hook or by crook, right? We have to somehow get it. Didn't have enough for a warrant to get it from them, right? Because it's going to take a search warrant to get a buccal swab or a blood sample. We don't have that. We didn't have that level of probable cause, so we had to get it from in a secondary way.
Interesting. Well, speaking of all these different types of evidence, what kinds of evidence take the longest to analyze?
Any more? So there's the CODIS database. There's a NIBIN. There's APHIS. APHIS is fingerprints. NIBIN is ballistics. CODIS is DNA. I think they're all pretty quick. I know that bullets used to take the longest, but now they've got the NIBIN. They just put the 3D high resolution 3D pictures out there, and it'll hopefully match a bullet from another crime scene.
Yeah, technology.
If we have the bullet, if we have the gun, then they can test fire it, put the bullet in NIBIN, and all that stuff.
Pew pew.
Oh, sorry. They can put the firearm, the mechanism.
Are we still on?
Yeah, are we still on?
Sorry.
No, we're just messing. It's just dumb.
So I don't think anything takes super long to analyze anymore. I really don't.
Interesting. All right.
So when the FBI is brought in, I know it's probably different, like if they were asked to help or if they were asked to take a lead, or what the overall relationship may be on every case may be different. But in general, there's that word again. Who's really in charge when the FBI and a sheriff's department or a police department is involved?
Usually they work together. I know they worked well when when I was on the PD. The biggest thing they came in on was bank robberies, because they're FDIC insured and it's a federal crime from the start. So this case, Miss Guthrie, hang on one second. I let Rocky out.
Hey, Rocky.
Hey, Rocky.
Miss Guthrie, right now it's not a federal. It became a federal crime when the ransom note came through the wire, right? So it's a cell phone to cell phone. That would be a wire mechanism, which would make it that would make that part a federal crime. So the FBI could come in and take over that part of the investigation. Can they take over the whole investigation? I don't know, because right now, kidnapping, unless it goes across state lines and we don't have that much information, is not a federal crime.
I think people have wondered, Brian, because as you know, that there's been some back and forth about whether this is truly a ransom, kidnapping for ransom case or not. And part of that is because, I don't even know if you know this, but within the last, few weeks, Reuters came out with a report saying that the FBI has said that the ransom notes and the Nancy Guthrie case were not real. In fact, I think the word was bogus. And then not even 24 hours later, the FBI came out with a statement saying that there are two notes in this ransom case that or in this kidnapping for ransom case that we do believe has elements of it that are real and are still being investigated. Now, having said that, one of the interesting little tidbits that popped up in the middle of this whole ransom nonsense is a case out of Hawthorne, California. It's a man named Derek Colella. He was charged in sending a kidnapping for ransom note to the family, or being a ransom note is what they said to the family. And I think if you remember this, I didn't consider it a ransom note. To me, a ransom note has kind of a beginning and a middle and an end. I have your mom. I want XYZ amount of money or else, and instructions. And this was a text message. It was a voice over internet. It was, the VoIP sent to Annie and Tommaso from this guy. And it said, "Did you get the Bitcoin? We're waiting on our end for the transaction." So apparently they nabbed him, extradited him back to Arizona, and this was within 6 days. He just went to court. And when all of this went down, and because it sounded like they were getting others that were imitators or, trying to extort, the FBI came out with a statement before, this guy was nabbed and said, anybody that does this, we will find you and we will prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. Then the next thing you know, this guy comes in, and it was just a week ago.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get my timeline. Everything feels like it's going so quickly. But anyway, he was brought into court and indicted, and he changed his plea, and they gave him a sentence of rehab and how many months probation or years? Shoot, somebody in the chat tell me, because my brain is going.
He got some sort of
But
probation.
it was some sort of probation instead, and then rehab. So there's been some speculation that this man, because of what he did, if he is involved, it now pushes it to a federal case because he was out of state. And I don't know if that speculation is correct. I wanted to ask you that. Would that, in fact, put it into the FBI's hands?
Well, the
5
fact that
years
it went
probation. Thank you, TJ Wheeler. Now somebody's saying 5 months. 5 years. Okay, so 5 concurrent.
5 something.
5 something.
that would tell me that he has no clue who's involved in what happened to Nancy Guthrie. This was what the FBI is trying to do is send a message: quit jacking around sending things that are fake. Otherwise, he would have continued to be held if he had some knowledge about what was going on.
So you don't think he did a plea deal? That's what most people think, is that he rolled on somebody and they're trying to clean him up and put him in rehab.
They wouldn't give him a plea deal until everyone was in pocket, because they need this guy to testify. So they're not going to give him and already have him off probation and all this other stuff until everything is wrapped up in a bow and everyone's in custody. They're not going to have this adjudicated until everyone has been taken care of. I'm guessing this, again, it's just my guess, is this guy knows nothing. He was screwing around and he was screwing around and he got caught.
Yeah.
He has no idea what's going on with any of this.
Really? Okay, because it went like wildfire, the interview room, other places, and I'm not saying they're wrong, and I know you're not saying they're wrong. It's just, this is your opinion, but and somebody verified it is 5 years. She said, sorry, I mistyped. So yeah, 5 years probation, and he immediately was taken from the courtroom into rehab. So the speculation was that he can't testify in court against the potential
These two
perps
stoned.
if they're involved, because he admitted to being high on meth in court that day. So, and this was for his sentencing. And then they gave him 5 years probation and immediate rehab. So there was speculation that they gave him rehab to clean him up because he can't testify against these people if he's high. He'll
Yeah.
be deemed, not a reliable source. And then the 5 years probation was some sort of a plea to be like, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. So you're saying you don't think that would have been done unless somebody was in custody?
Not, not this early, right? Because all the documents related to his plea, what he's pleading to, if you're saying he went to rehab, it was court ordered rehab.
Correct.
All that's public. So even the bad guys and everyone's going to know, because court documents are all available if you have the right software to download them. Right? It's all that is obtainable. And so what you're saying is, if your theory holds, at least from my experience, is they're far enough along that they're ready to make an arrest because everything related to this guy is going to now be public. His plea deal, what he's pleading to, what he's going to. They wouldn't have known what he's going to plead to, but everyone would know that that's where the investigation is. So
But
I'm
do you
guessing.
think, people are saying it was sealed. I know that some people shared the complaint, however you
You can
pronounce
seal an
it.
indictment, right?
So
You can't seal a plea deal once because that's in open court.
Oh.
that's why I was like,
That's,
what is sealed? Because everything I read was out in the open. I didn't see where. I think there was thoughts that if his court appearance is sealed and they don't let the public in, then maybe there's something to be heard, and assumed. But apparently it was an open deal. There were people that went into the court, but then when it came out about his plea deal, people were saying parts of it were sealed. So I'm like,
People say a lot of things though, and then that's our job to go and
so
yeah,
let me give you a fake scenario here. Say he is part of this. Say he was one of the people involved, whether it was the driver of the getaway car or one of the actual nabbers, which I guess that would make him. I'm saying they physically touched her. What is there a possibility that they would do something like this, or you're saying no?
not until everyone's wrapped up. They would
Really?
keep him in custody
So
until
you don't think
everything's
the
wrapped
court
up.
ordered rehab would be part of keeping him in custody?
No, they would do that in some sort of facility, whether it be like a CCA, a corrections facility. That's it, Again, it depends on. You're saying the feds charged him or the state? Who
Apparently, it was
charged
a
him?
federal charge due to it being,
Okay. So
you
yeah,
know, across
emails.
across emails and whatever.
he would be in some sort of private jail because, like, states have, if someone's awaiting trial, they're usually in a county detention center. Uh, uh, the feds don't own their own detention center; they have prisons, and so they contract with companies that will hold people that have been charged,
Mm.
awaiting trial or awaiting deals. I don't see any way they would have this go all the way to a plea and a 5 years probation when the rest of the actors aren't in custody yet. That just seems so far from anything I could possibly imagine.
Well, now that's it. The show is over. I'm out. I'm mad. Just
Yeah,
kidding.
I'm,
That's it.
I'm
I
guessing
was,
this guy. I'm
Roll
guessing
gosh,
this
up the
guy was just
cable.
a hanger on and sent a stupid text message and got caught. And the feds are saying,
dang
"We're not
it.
playing this. Don't do this."
Well, a lot of people have been saying it's a big nothing
Well,
burger.
I wanted to believe that there was a
Okay, let's get
chance.
through some of these questions. We'll go. Some of we may just skip.
Dadgummit.
Do agencies really disagree as shown on TV? Yeah, but it's not like on TV. That's
You're
that's drama
kidding.
created for TV. We're all on the same page, trying to
Thank you.
trying to just to
Yeah, the names aren't
increase
changing.
public safety. Um,
All right. And then what's the
yeah,
next one?
yeah.
Does the FBI ever tell local police not to release information? And do local police have to comply?
I don't know. I,
There's
I
been a
would
lot of
say
speculation on this, Brian.
I would say that um, we don't have to comply. I mean, again, we're all working together. We always had a good relationship with the FBI. So I think we would craft the message that we want the public to know together. I don't think that there was ever any, you have to say this or you cannot say this and you have to comply or else. I don't know what penalty there would be. I mean, I guess the FBI could say we're not going to help anymore and pack up their bag and go home. But that doesn't seem, at least from what I've seen on the KCPD, that just doesn't seem to be the way that it works. We've always had a good
Interesting.
relationship with them.
Why is so much information kept confidential? We kind of all think we know the answer to this, but I just wanted to hear it
It
from,
seems pretty obvious, but
yeah,
Well, because we only need the public to know, like, if we need their help on something or it's a public safety issue, we're just not going to give out specific information about a case because it compromises again um, what is real and what is fake. Like I said, there's plenty of jailhouse snitches that will call on someone they're mad at that may have been responsible for them being in jail, and they'll say, "Yeah, I know who did this. It was Brian Bell," and so the detectives will go out there and talk to the person in jail. I used to do that all the time, get their information and hear how do they know? Well, this person told me, and you know, if the facts of the case don't match up with what we know, then I know that this jailhouse snitch is full of bull, and he's just trying to get a better sentence for himself. But if we told what the weapon was and the timeline and what the scene was like inside, then how are we going to separate fact from fiction? So we really want to keep the information close so that when we do get the people that really know, we know they're going to have the right information. And then those are the leads we can follow. I think I mentioned to you last time, at least in Jackson County, or when I was on the PD, let's say we had a case and we had 100 tips calls. Every one of those tips calls had to be followed up on. If I knew the suspect was Brian Bell, I still had to follow up on every single one of those 100 tips calls. So tips calls are great. I'm not saying don't call them in, but some are easier to get rid of than others. And if
like
everyone's
I
got
had
the
a
same,
dream last night that I saw the perp.
really,
No, I'm just saying.
right?
Do you
Yeah,
I'm
gigs
sure
and
I'm sure you get some of those calls. Like
yeah,
I
yeah.
had a dream that,
And
uh,
some are easier to clear than others, but if everyone has the same information, right, that it was Professor Plum with a pipe in the library, if
that's right,
everyone
the
has
Plymouth.
that information, then how are we going to separate truth from reality, or I mean
have you
truth from fiction? Because we want only the ones with knowledge of the case to know that it was Professor Plum in the library with a pipe.
so can I ask, do you remember what your weirdest tip was that you had to follow up on?
Oh, I don't. There were some really weird ones. I don't recall any. I know there were some that were really weird, and some we can just dismiss out of hand and say no. There's nothing to follow up on. Um,
Not one?
but
You don't remember one?
no, there were
No.
some goofy ones. I'm sorry. It's been a long
I'm
time.
just messing with you. All right. So, have you ever solved a case because only the suspect knew a withheld detail?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So that does work.
It does work. Yeah. We just we don't release information we don't have to. Yep,
And that's
absolutely.
perfectly understandable. What is an example of evidence that is almost always kept from the public? Like, that thing that it's just known at the police headquarters. This never, you don't have to say it, just doesn't go out to public.
Um, well, that's a good question. What example?
Oh,
Almost
we
always
stumped
kept.
him.
That was
Usually the
Ron from
weapon,
Delaware.
unless usually the weapon, unless it's in a big area and witnesses hear, a choo-choo shot or something. Um, but if we don't release the manner, if it's something that is not something everyone can hear, that's probably the biggest
Makes
is the
sense.
manner of
Okay, yeah, that would make sense.
or position in which they're found. Um, yeah, stuff like that.
Okay. Detectives usually know who did it early in most investigations. Is that mostly true or mostly false?
Or somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. Oops.
Somewhere in the middle, I would say mostly false. It just takes a lot of work. Every once in a while, you get a lucky one where the suspect is still at the scene. Obviously, your domestic violence ones are
Oh, yeah,
pretty
yeah.
easy. And I think we talked about the first time I was on. If it's a female, there's a 1 in 3 chance that it's a partner or a domestic. So those are a little bit easier. Just not easier, but they're it's mostly true for females because you have a 1 in 3 chance of it being a domestic, and that's a great place to start. So I guess it depends on the gender of the victim, but not
Right.
always.
Interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah,
Does DNA solve most cases?
I wouldn't say most. Solve some. Um, have you guys ever heard of? I think you asked a lot of questions about DNA. Have you ever heard of Locard's principle of exchange? Is
No, I
that
haven't.
anything to you? Um, he was a French forensic investigator. I don't know, back a long time ago, and he said at every scene, the suspect will leave evidence and take evidence with them, and that's really meaningful. Whether it be a hair fiber, a skin cell, um, if the suspect may leave with a pet hair on their jean or something.
Okay.
Uh, the problem is finding it. If you find that DNA evidence, then yeah, it does solve the case. We had a
Yeah.
case. This wasn't DNA, but we cleaned the fingernails a um, of a suspect. We had a suspect in custody, and we cleaned his fingernails, and we found some microscopic. Not it wasn't DNA, but microscopic microorganisms. They're called diatoms that were only at the scene of the crime. So we were able to link the the um, the suspect to the crime scene based on microorganisms under his fingernails.
Oh,
Ew.
Yeah, yeah. So if we get DNA and we can match it, then yeah. But I wouldn't say most. At least when I was in, most crimes were solved through DNA.
So it's kind of the question is probably a little flaky. In other words, does DNA solve most cases? No. But if there is DNA in a case, does it solve the case normally? Like if you have good DNA.
If we have good DNA and if it's we have no idea who the suspect is and we put it in CODIS and we come up with a hit, obviously it solves most cases like that. I would say most of the time we have DNA, we've identified the suspect another way, the DNA will confirm that they are indeed the suspect. So it makes it ironclad. They can't say I wasn't there when there's like 1 in 3 trillion chance that the DNA matches someone
Pretty
else.
sure you did it.
well, wait a minute. To that point, what if it is, we've discussed this at length with a case like this. You said that it's a very high percentage that it's usually family involved. for an elderly person that was abducted or emmed. So in that case, if they find DNA, that person could say, "So what? I helped her, get her pajamas on. So
Right.
what? I helped
Right.
her, use the
Yeah.
restroom or
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah.
my DNA is supposed to be there because I'm there
If
all
it
the
was a
time."
relative, they're gonna have a hard time saying, well, yeah, I go there all the time. Right. I see what you're saying. I guess it depends on how the DNA is obtained. If it's under the fingernails of
Oh, yeah, that's a
someone
good point.
from a fight, then yeah. Again, and I didn't say an elderly. I said a female has a 1 in 3 chance of it being a domestic is the one that.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, back to the Nancy Guthrie case, my question is if they get DNA and it does happen to be, family, and this is just speculation, it's just, going by statistics, in a case like this, that normally it would be family. In this case, apparently family's been cleared. But having said that, if you get
Right.
DNA at a residence where the crime scene took place and that DNA is supposed to be there because it's a family member or someone that goes there
Yeah.
often,
Yeah.
how do detectives work with a situation like that? Because that's, been my thought. So what if it's a housekeeper?
Yeah.
She's supposed to be there. She makes the
Right.
bed. She cleans the toilet. She may even use the
Did
toilet.
she have a housekeeper?
I think
Then
we've
it
heard that
would.
she had a
It
home
would.
healthcare
Yeah.
person.
Somebody asked that earlier in the
Again.
chat.
Again, if it's just DNA that's there, from a hair fiber on a bathroom vanity, then yeah, it's not gonna be of much help being a family member. Again, it depends on where it is. If it's a shirt she's wearing, or there's signs of a struggle, and there's skin cells under the victim's fingernails,
Mm,
well, how are they going to explain?
right.
In this case,
Um,
they don't have the victim. So, yeah.
right, right.
We've heard that there's mixed DNA. Have you ever dealt with a case where the mixed DNA was not from an SA?
I don't know. I don't know. Mixed DNA, not from an SA. You mean of bodily fluids or?
I didn't, I mean, when I
Anything.
hear mixed DNA, I'm like, what could that be? And my mind goes wild. And I think most of us go to SA, but if it's not SA, then are we talking snot? Like, what are we
Could
talking?
be hair and skin and
I suppose it could
something.
be hair. It could be, skin cells that are, commingled. But I don't. I'm not a DNA expert, so I can't really speak
I
to
understand.
mixed
I just,
DNA.
I just wondered
Okay,
if you'd
let's
ever
move
had that
on.
for, yeah.
Yeah.
This is a good one. A lot of our viewers asked this
Well,
question.
remember last time you told us they're not admissible, but they're a good tool. So do they actually solve crimes?
It's a pointer. It can help. Yeah, I mean, we can't. We'll use it as an interrogation tool to get a suspect to tell the truth, but it doesn't. We can't take the results of a polygraph and put that in a probable cause statement and get a warrant get an arrest warrant. So if we if we
Interesting.
put someone on a polygraph, we have a pretty strong suspicion they're involved already. We're not just taking random people off the streets and
Hey,
putting
come get
them
hooked up.
on polygraphs and asking them, what they know about the crime.
Well, they did it with the family. Is that normal when you're just trying to eliminate family because they're the first ones that you would assume because of statistics, or is
I,
that
I
even
would probably say yes.
okay?
I would probably say yes, and if they agreed to submit to a polygraph, then that in and of itself is a sign of innocence. Because why would someone
Yeah,
involved
agree to that.
um, agree to sit on a polygraph? Because you don't know what's going to happen. Polygraphs are weird. If you ever sat through one, those guys and girls are good that do this sort of thing.
Oh yeah, I've
Well, we
taken them
don't.
for jobs before.
Have you
Yeah,
really?
Twice, yeah.
Oh,
they are
did you
good.
pass?
They're scary good.
Well, I got
And
hired,
Just
so I don't
kidding.
know.
I'm just
But I will
kidding.
say I lied my butt off, so I don't really believe in them very much.
Would you stop? So, my
um,
question, Brian, so the question that kept coming up a lot, which it wasn't even on my radar as a possibility, was that with the polygraph, who normally administers it? And there's been questions circling or theories circling that it wasn't even Pima County, that it was possibly a private polygraph company, like a third party that came in and did it. And does that make a difference?
it shouldn't. Pima County may not have a polygraph examiner. I don't know if every
Oh,
county does. If they don't, then they have to outsource it.
Yeah, it would have to be
Um,
someone that's
I
certified
just
or
thought it would be
something.
done through
right,
their
yeah, they have to be a
department.
certified polygraph examiner.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I would hope.
But
Gosh.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they have their own, so they have to outsource. That would be my guess. I don't think it would matter if they're certified.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. I think a lot of people thought that it wouldn't hold as much weight if it was a third party hired by the family, like say
It's
through
and,
hogwash
and,
like
anyway.
and
Savannah,
maybe
you know.
so maybe that was it. I don't know if I'd have to know if Pima County, had said yes, do this and go here because we don't have one. I don't have enough information
I Either do
uh,
we.
to be able to answer
Just
that.
speculation.
So,
Okay.
Brian, you were an experienced detective. Did you know when someone was lying? You didn't need a polygraph, did you?
Um,
People have tells, right?
yeah, I mean, experience. It's experience. It's listening. It's also knowing the facts of the case. You know what happened. You know who was there. So when you know the case and you know the things that this person isn't saying, and you can tell by their breathing or by their body language. I took several body language classes, and you can tell when someone's lying based on their gestures, their hand motions, how they're sitting,
Get it?
crossing their arms, that sort of thing. Um, so
Ooh,
most experienced detectives can tell.
I have a couple videos I may want you to watch, but that may be a different show.
We'll see if we can find them,
Um,
but
you got to remember, I'm years out of doing this. It's a lost skill. This is not something
use it or lose it.
that someone retained that I
I'd
could.
still want
This
to
is not
get your
something I could
opinion.
retain from 10 or 12 years ago.
All right. What's the next
I
one?
apologize.
No, I'd still want to
This
get
one's
your
funny.
opinion. Are the first 48 hours really as important as the television show makes them seem?
Yes.
Really? Oh my God.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of just
No,
The
like,
clock
it's
ticking on
really
there gives me
sorry, we're at hour
anxiety.
51. Done.
well. So when you start working a case, that's when people are there. So the first thing we do, is we split up. One group of detectives will do an area canvas. The detective will work the crime scene. They'll interview witnesses. Everyone splits up, and if you don't get all that in the first, they say 48 hours. It could be 51. It could
Yeah,
be
I'm just messing with
30.
you.
It's the first block of time when you flood the scene with help. That's when you get everything done, and you can start matching things up. If you don't do your area canvas till 2 or 3 days later, people might not be home. Then you have to catch them. What did you see 3 nights ago? Oh, I don't remember. So it's very important the first 48 to get out there, to flood everything that needs to be done, run down all the leads that you have in front of you, and you really don't stop until those leads are run down. Then you catch up on your reports, figure out where your next leads are, and then a smaller group will carry on the remainder of the leads until another bigger group is needed for something. But yeah, the first 48 are very important.
I told you
Interesting.
I watched the show, Glenn.
That's what
Should have believed
started her
me.
whole true crime career.
Yeah, yeah, you
Well,
really need to get
Unsolved
that.
Mysteries with the creepy music
This
started
one
mine.
kind of goes
Yeah,
back to earlier when you were saying some things, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's question 17. So, Brian, if someone handed you a file on a major abduction tomorrow morning, not this one, just any abduction with similar circumstances, what are the first few things you would want to know? And what are the first few things that you would do?
And if you can hear the snoring, I'm sorry. Bonnie's snoring on my lap. Sorry.
That's a really good question. It's hard to answer because it would be the same as any other major case, whether it be an abduction, whether it could be
Okay, well, whatever. What's the first
any
few
major
things you'd
case.
want to know?
It's a good question.
Well, I would have to. I mean, this is stupidly. Are all the reports in here? Is everything? Is this case file complete? I know that seems kind of dumb, but if I'm going to read it, are you saying I know nothing about the case until they hand me the file, or are
Well, if
you
something just major happened, you get the call, or I don't know how it works. You get the call, I imagine, some way or another. Something's
okay?
communicated to you that you are assigned to something. And I get what you're saying. You're wanting to know, like, is your part really ready for you to come in?
Right. So, are there witnesses? Where are the witnesses? Have they been
Okay.
interviewed? What did they say? Um, what evidence was collected would be what I would want to know. I know it hasn't been processed, but what evidence was collected? Um, I would want to know um, where the victim currently is, in case I wanted to go see them, if the victim was even anywhere that we knew about. Um, are there any suspects? Um, and then, yeah, that would probably be where I would start. The first thing would be witnesses and
Okay.
family members.
So, on the point of the
Witnesses,
witnesses, would you interview, say you're the first detective, you're just the one guy on scene. You may have had the original detective that came there, thinking it was a walkaway. You have two people that are
Okay.
apparently witnesses. Would you interview them separately or like take them back to the station? There's been some discussion on that. Like, I wouldn't have done it there at the house. I would have taken them back to the station and separated them. And so I think people want to know, is that standard protocol or are there different ways of doing it?
there's different ways. Um, yeah, I guess if they were pretty sure this was more than a walkaway, then I would have taken them back to the station. I don't know if I would have separated them because they would already been together. Um, but I would have taken them back to the station and interviewed them separately.
Very
Um,
interesting.
Very
but again,
interesting.
that's me. Every 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 detective does things
No, I get
differently.
it. It's just that you're kind of, I don't know, we've kind of felt this way. Like we're kind of bringing this up to a bigger point here that every investigation has mistakes that are made. I'm sure nothing's perfect ever. I mean, you're dealing with humans, right? And it's a
Right.
horrible crime and everyone wants it solved. Nobody doesn't want this crime solved, that I would think. Mistakes were made, and it's always in a case where it's major like this in the public eye, it's amplified and magnified because we're all seeing all the what we think of it as mistakes. But what I learned tonight is 48 hours to turn a crime scene back to the family is a normal thing, and I don't blame them for that. And then thinking about it later, then the FBI gets involved. Okay, we have to go back and look at some things that some ideas cropped up or whatever. It was shocking for the general public, me mostly, to see a sprinkler head shooting over the crime scene. And let's go fix that. Pool guys in the back putting chlorine in the chlorinator and vacuuming the pool. And then Amazon's delivering. And then you think, well, how do you shut all that stuff off anyway? They would have to have the crime tape up still or whatever. And I get it. The crimes, they were done. They got what they needed. They brought in that weird air filter vacuum thing and did what they needed to do. I think they got the DNA probably on the first 48-hour deal. I don't know.
I don't know. They left the doormat.
But the
That still
bigger
makes me
point
mad.
is, what would you do? And it's like, yeah, first I want to make sure that all the ducks have been placed in a row for me so I can do my job. And then you'd want to go see the body. I'm just recapping here. If there were a person or a body or whatever. Um, yeah, I mean, I get it. And wanting to, see the scene, obviously, I would imagine.
Yeah, I would want to see the scene, or at least photographs of the scene. Hopefully, I came on early enough that the scene was still being held. But if it were being held, that means it's still being processed. They wouldn't
Yeah.
necessarily
Right.
have held it just for me 2 or 3 days later. That's a waste of manpower. But if crime scene photos were taken correctly, then that's almost just as good. But I still may go back to the scene. I've gone back to scenes just to kind of get, okay, if this witness said that this person was staying here, does that make sense? I'm not processing anything. I'm just trying to get a feel for where things are. In an
Right.
abduction, I may go back to the house just to kind of see, maybe I'm not understanding how many stairs or how steep a turn is, trying to move a body. I don't know. So I would go back. I think I would go back just to take a look around, but it wouldn't matter. I'm not collecting evidence. I'm just trying to get my head around everything. So I'd go back to the
So
scene at one point.
your wife has got a comment, and I do remember this when we were younger. I'd be
Yep.
talking to my sister and I'd be like, "Where's Brian?" She's like, "I don't know. He's been gone for 2 days."
Yep.
So like you'd head out of the house on a major crime and you may not
Yep.
be off work for several shifts or however it would work, I guess.
Yeah. I think the longest I worked was probably like 30 hours without sleep.
Goodness.
Because you,
That-
you have to run the leads down. And I'm sure, I don't know, Pima County, we had 160, 200 murders a year. So that's almost one every day, day and a half.
Oh,
It's hard to
wow.
keep up. You gotta get them while you can. And, it's not like, oh, I'll do it when I get to it. You gotta do it because there's another one coming right around the corner.
right.
And, you gotta run the leads down. And while it's in their minds and it's fresh, you just run them down.
Earlier when he was talking about that's why those questions I placed him before. These questions came from all over, but I tried to put them in an order where it would kind of flow. So having experience, not that you could tell if someone's lying, 100%, but you get an instinct, I imagine, over years of dealing with certain quality of individuals, and not all major crimes and violent crimes are all bad people. I mean, violent crimes, yeah, but some crimes are just things happen kind of a deal, and you maybe not even been a crime. But since we have a rookie running the Nancy Guthrie case, and I call him a rookie, he's not a rookie. This was just he was a rookie in the way that he's only had one, was it, or no
I think the
cases?
original one had not worked any H, and then they called and asked for a supervisor, and the supervisor had only worked one.
So if you can remember back when you were a rookie, or when you witnessed maybe someone that had very little experience that was given his first case or a major case, what do you think are some of the mistakes that that person could make?
Um, not being patient and trying to rush through the scene. The crime scene is hugely
And then we're back
important,
to
and you have to take your time. So when I was on in our department, the case detective was the one that processed the crime scene. If you if you show up, and the way we worked it was, if the squad was called in, if it was just something that I had picked up because I was, let's say I worked the overnight shift. There's only one homicide detective in the overnight shift. It was me. I go out to the scene. The suspect's in custody. I can work the whole thing by myself, or I may call in someone else just to help. But if it's a squad case, because it was something like this, the sergeant would assign the case detective who works the scene, and
okay.
then that's kind of how it worked. Is the lead would work the scene because that's the most important part. Again, I would be the one that says who can come in, who can't come in, and then the other detectives would be assigned to area canvassing, talking to witnesses, and we'd all communicate if I find something in the scene that I need them to ask a witness about, then we're always communicating, right? And
Makes
so
sense.
a mistake a rookie would make would be to not be patient enough in the crime scene because again, he or she is in there by themselves with just the crime scene investigator. There's not a
Right.
whole group of people telling them, okay, make sure you're doing this, make sure you're doing that, make sure you are,
Uh,
doing things a certain way. I'm just guessing maybe that wasn't done here, but speeding through the crime scene, not communicating with other detectives, talking to potential witnesses
got
on the
it.
outside.
Well, I think part of the issue here is the person, I don't want to even tell his name, but who was assigned this. And correct me if I'm wrong, this is the same gentleman he's had, let's just say he's got a pretty full file with the HR department or whatever it's called at a police department. And remember, this is a sheriff's department too. If the hierarchy is different, did I say that word right? Hierarchy,
Hierarchy.
hierarchy is different there. Like our understanding is the sheriff assigned this person because it's kind of the good old boys club at the sheriff's department. It's a little more so maybe than a police department where everybody's hired, a little differently than, voted in or whatever. Like your police chief was there was a search put out at one point and interviews and you know what I
Right,
mean? So we
right.
feel like this guy has a pretty long history of not being the best of, cops. Like maybe his mental state wasn't the best at sometimes. He got into some issues at work and he was brought back on. And it's not the guy you'd think they'd put in charge of a major case like this that the media is going to be involved in because she's a high profile, well, mother of a high profile person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like a mistake to me, but I don't know the personnel of the Pima County
Brian,
Sheriff. Maybe at the
Yeah.
time this was still the best person that was available. I
can
don't
you
know.
questions? No.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I don't know.
What is the
What's
one
the
thing
one?
you wish the public understood about major
Major
crimes?
crimes.
Um, they take a long time to solve. They can take a long time to
We need
solve.
patience.
I was going to say
You
that a minute ago. I'm like, so what you're saying is simmer down now. You all need patience.
All
right?
right, since
It could take time. And I think one of the questions on here was just because we're not actively giving daily updates. I say we like I'm still on. It's still being worked. People are still working on the case. It hasn't been forgotten. Um,
So when
until
it
there's
goes low and quiet, Brian, what is your assumption? Like there's been nothing. Like nothing.
what do
I
you
mean, it's
want? What
been
do
at
you want
least a
them
month
to?
since we've heard really anything.
What do you want them? What is it you would like to? I guess let me ask you this: what is it that would make you comfortable? Do you want to hear what they're doing? Do you want to hear that they're still doing something?
Brian, we
I
want
mean,
answers. Give them to us
I think I've
right now.
explained why they're not going to
When you
tell you
put
what
it
they're
that way,
doing.
I feel dumb. But yeah, I
Moving
mean,
on.
what
I
exactly do you want from us? Are
mean,
you
yeah.
saying
What
that
is it?
I
What
can't
is it?
handle the truth,
You just put
Brian?
him back at work and he's having to tell somebody at a scene or something. What do
I
you want me
What
to
is?
do?
in all joking aside, Brian, I think this is really hard for a lot of people. If I've heard it once, I've heard it a million times. She feels like America's grandma. You think of the two most vulnerable people in our societies, and that's going to be children and the elderly. And when you hear of somebody who's elderly, who is living a comfortable life, has lived by herself since her 40s when her husband passed away, raised three successful children, has lived in the same home the entire time, in the same community where she's very beloved. I mean, you hear how active she was in the community. She wasn't just, she wasn't like an old lady sitting at home and didn't do anything. She was active in the community, from mahjong with the friends, with book clubs, with church
Yeah.
activities, with community stuff. And it's like, how does this happen to somebody? And I think we're impatient. So I don't know what I want to know. It did make me feel a little bit better to hear that Alex Murdaugh, it took 402 days to put him under arrest.
What about the Idaho?
That was kind of quick. I mean, he was already arrested by now, but
Oh,
I think a lot of us thought, you know, we would, with the full weight of the FBI and, coming in, and I I think we thought we would have answers by now, but I understand that it's still pretty early being 5 months in, to the investigation, or 6 months. What are we, 6 months now? It's like 166, 167 days, something like that now. I've lost
It
track.
feels like a long time, but I think
Yeah.
what Brian is saying is sometimes it's years. It just is what it is,
So it's
I'm
normal
surprised
to
we haven't
not
found
hear
her body
anything.
yet.
Sorry,
I'm
Brian.
surprised we have not found her body.
Okay.
Because what are you going to do? Yeah, it's presuming that she is no longer breathing. It seems that not going to keep it in the house. Someone has to do something with it, and yeah, the longer it goes with the heat, the more concerned I get. I guess it's probably, I don't know if that's the right word.
Well, we've heard that at this point, she was missing February 1st. It was still cool in the evenings. I think it was 30 something degrees or 40 something degrees the night that she went missing, because the desert gets cold in the winter at nights. And apparently now they're saying there would be possibly something left, but not much. And you would have to know what you were looking for, because if animals got to it, then it's a
Right.
different type of scene that you would find.
Well, yeah,
That's-
remember
You're looking at scat and other things.
that climate in Tucson. There's actually been some studies that are by
Right.
experts at local college there that this is kind of getting gross, but the way body's decomposition happens in 110 degrees in an arid climate is dramatically different than, say, 40, 50% humidity normal, mid states climate. So it's rapid apparently there.
But to your point, I mean, to other people's point, I guess it's such a vast area. It would be very difficult to find, and I think that that's why it takes so long. They're still finding, bodies now that have been gone for a long time, and sometimes it's hunters or whatever. But you've got
Right.
her area is surrounded by vast amounts of desert.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
of course, you're only an hour away from Nogales, the border in Mexico. I mean,
It's basically a
nobody
border
knows where she
town,
went.
yeah.
I mean, is she on somebody's property and we'll never find her? Or, I mean, this is just awful.
So let's do question 20. Then we can I've marked some that are some of them are just comments, but they're pretty interesting
Yeah, 'cause we're
too.
almost to 2 hours.
If you want to read that.
Oh. With what you know about the Nancy Guthrie case, do you have any feeling about it? In your opinion, do you think the family is involved, random, or an enemy of Ms. Guthrie, i.e. Savannah,
Or whatever.
or Mrs. Guthrie?
In all your experience, what is your gut feel? Not that you should go on your gut when there's evidence, but still.
I've kind of said that this almost smells to me like a family member or a family member wanted this done. Um, Again, I don't know. I don't understand what the end game is, because
Me neither.
abduction is so complicated. It's so random. Not random. It's so rare. It hardly ever happens, and especially someone that's old, because then if they do become a corpse, then it's just a liability. You've lost your leverage. Why would anyone? Why would anyone do that as a way to make money? So that takes away the randomness of it. If someone was wanting to get back at Savannah, I could think of way better ways than kidnap mom.
Yeah.
That doesn't make a lot of sense. That's really sophisticated and hard. And if they were that, if they were that sophisticated to do something like that, they would have a better communication system to extort money from Savannah. So
Maybe
kind
she
of
made
that
somebody
is
mad.
off the table. Then you're left with someone that knew her, whether it be a family member, a neighbor. I don't know. I don't know, but it's someone that, in my opinion, wanted her to not be breathing anymore. I don't think there was any more to it than that. That was
That's
the
what-
whole idea.
That's what I've been thinking. I thought it was an elimination. That's what I thought.
You thought what?
It was an elimination.
Yeah, I mean, it just nothing else seems to make sense.
Interesting.
Nothing else seems to make sense. If you want to extort money, if you want to steal money from someone, there's so many easier ways to do it.
Yeah. Let's just go through. There's some of these are comments. Let's analyze that, Doug.
We love Doug.
He's got a lot of.
Yeah.
I
He
don't know.
says, in my opinion, at that point, the perps are also the public. Am I reading that right? Or also the public. What is shared is most likely as much towards, oh, shoot, Glenn, I didn't see it, them than appeasing the crowds, in my opinion. So he's saying the perps are also the public.
Sure.
So law enforcement's probably not going to share a lot as because
Yeah, they're
it's
listening.
also being towards them, which is also
I,
appeasing.
that's a fantastic point, and one thing that when I was reading through your list, Glenn, I wanted to bring up. One thing that shocked
Oh,
me when I was in this line of work, how many bad actors, bad guys, bad girls watch the local news. They know what's going on. They don't watch national news; they watch the local news.
so you could
So,
use that to your
you
benefit,
know,
though.
what's that?
You could use that to your benefit as an investigator or detective.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So
Oh, he walked us
you
into
could
that.
yeah. That's one thing I wanted to say is and whoever that texture was made up a great point.
Doug,
What I did
he's
want to bring up,
awesome.
yeah,
He always
He's
keeps
got a
me
few
straight
that'll
too.
come up here. My
they do
question
watch
is,
the
if there
local.
is a lot of public interest in a case, is the authorities in any way obligated to give any kind of updates? I know you can't too much, but general updates. Like, are they obligated? Like, does your department have a rule? Like, we have to?
No,
Okay,
no,
interesting.
no.
Back to Doug. Q.
Interesting.
Would FBI have said, don't pay and realize that there was a grave mistake made? And this is why so much hoopla over who was in charge of the ransom notes. And was it the feds that messed up and not Nanos? That's kind of a question about the actual case. I don't know. That may be something that Jen may know more about.
I mean, I asked him this, Glenn. I said, "What is your opinion?" I mean, and my mother-in-law and I were talking about it earlier too. I said, "I want to know what the statistics are of FBI ever paying a ransom or advising." I know they can advise and not tell a family member what to do, but I mean, I would love to know your opinion on that.
I don't know. I'm not sure they ever. Again, I don't know enough about the case. I don't know if the FBI pays ransoms. I I don't
I
know.
That's
I
a
heard
don't
that
good
they
think that.
question.
don't,
Yeah.
but I don't know that for a
I
fact.
think they're
I mean,
real careful about that.
I don't think the government would be. They would be collecting the money from the family. The government's not going to pay ransom except for maybe a public official. Um, I don't know enough about the case to know if they ever took the ransom note seriously because I think, like I said the last time, no one would use Bitcoin for no one that I wouldn't think would use Bitcoin because it's traceable. They know where the money's going to go. If I send $1 million
That seems
to,
really fake.
it's anonymous, but it's traceable, so I could find out that the wallet that the $1 million went to,
See,
and
I thought that
then
they were saying it wasn't traceable for the longest time. There was people saying it's not traceable, that's why they did it. And there's been wrench attacks where people have been abducted and tortured for their Bitcoin. Having said that, I don't, there's only one person that I know of that's been unalived from that. But again, it was not the person they abducted had the Bitcoin, and we're talking millions and millions in Bitcoin. It's not
right,
they didn't abduct the person that is the son of or the daughter of or the mother of. It was the person and said, "Give me your code," and it was I guess it's been done, but
yes, but the
but to
general
your point,
public.
I think most of them have been caught. So I
Yeah,
don't
I don't
know.
know.
The general public doesn't have access to the public ledger that and the tools to drill down because in crypto. It's all encrypted, right? So you have to have the tools that aren't cheap. Law enforcement has those tools. The FBI, the IRS, they have the way to trace money to and from a wallet through the public ledger. They don't
Okay.
necessarily know who owns them. They know where to trace the money. So if it goes from me to Glenn to you to Janice to Sherry, that's all traceable through the ledger. That block of money is all
Okay.
traceable, and it's just anonymous, but it's traceable.
Interesting. I'm going to put this one up just because, hang on, let me move that out of the way.
Thank you for
This
subscribing.
person seemed very passionate and has a sentiment that a lot of people, they feel like the press conferences were, complete and utter ridiculousness. And I tend to agree. I give Nanos more grace than most people, but those press conferences were
It
ridiculous.
just felt like you were watching someone who had never given a press conference in his life. And I felt like he had all these tells, and we now know that, there's been some issues in his past with gambling. And I said, well, I hope it wasn't poker, because I don't think he's very good at it. Because he's like, oh, we don't know anything. But I don't know. You just feel like you're getting for lack of a better phrase, a word salad every time he does one. And it feels like at the end of it, you're like, what did he say? Like you don't even understand. Which maybe why he's not doing them anymore. But
I'm just throwing up some of these comments because they are all interesting. Everyone's
also the people in charge hadn't worked a homicide or a new detectives. Correct, Betty. Yeah, we knew that. That's crazy. It's just frustrating.
Yeah, I
Cali
didn't watch any
girl.
press conferences, so I can't speak to them.
Cali girl on fire. I'll send some to you just for giggles. Does anyone think wrench attack gone wrong? So try it again with ransom notes to recover something.
That's been something that a lot of people have thought, I believe.
My problem with the wrench attack is, from what I understand, it's usually the individual that they're usually doing that to is the one who holds the Bitcoin. So in this case, you're like you said, Brian. I mean, I'm not. You're taking an 84-year-old that you're hoping makes it through the night to extort money out of her daughter. I don't know.
Well, here's an important one.
Jen, has anybody ever told you that you look like Jackie Kennedy? that's what, 2 nights in a row? Yes. Yes.
She gets that a lot.
Are you talking? My mother-in-law is laughing. Yes, I get it a lot, actually, which is the nicest compliment. I personally don't see it, but apparently other people do, because I've heard it multiple times, and that's very nice. Thank you so much. What do you think is the biggest mystery that remains based on publicly available information?
Oh, in this
Where the,
case,
where the body is. For me, where's the body?
that's the first thing that comes to me is that what's the crime? We have no body to know if there was an M, or
I
if
think
she's
it's
on
in
the beach
somebody's
somewhere
deep
in
freeze.
Mexico. I mean,
I don't know.
obviously the evidence leads different
I worry
direction.
about barrels. I worry about freezers.
Yeah, this is the one you were saying earlier. She did have a helper or cleaning lady or something.
I believe so, Carol. I don't have confirmation of that. A lot of this stuff that we hear, I think sometimes snowballs and becomes, the elementary school game of telephone. Because I've heard a lot of people say, a lot of things that I went back and heavily researched, and I couldn't find any press conference or any confirmation of it. This, I do believe that she had a healthcare worker. I do believe that that was heavily voiced in the press conferences that she did have one. She also had a yard person. We've all seen said yard person. But I would think at this point that they would have checked it out. But, like I was saying to Brian, so what if the DNA comes back and it's the healthcare worker? She's supposed to be there. I think,
Well, hopefully I don't know.
I don't know how you go from, yes, we've got DNA. Yes, the healthcare worker was there. And if it's not suspicious DNA, like somebody said, well, the mixed DNA could be touch DNA. I don't know how you take that information. For me, I would throw up the cards and be like, I don't know where to start, because she's allowed to be there. What do you find out that would lead you to be able to get a warrant to even search their home or anything else besides just DNA? I would think an attorney would go, so what? She's allowed to be there. She's a healthcare worker.
This is all true. And while you were talking, Jennifer, I was thinking about the previous question about what's the biggest mystery that remains. And I think for me, I want to change it from the body to the motive. I don't understand what the motive was in this, and it could be the cleaning lady's family. It could be, but what is the motive? I don't think money was the motive. I'm not because I don't think that was done right. I just
Yeah,
don't.
I
I
want to do a
just don't
poll
think.
again in a minute because we did that before. I'm just curious if it's still the same as it was the other day
But,
after.
but
What's
wait,
that?
Brian. No, I agree, Glenn. But wait, I have a question on that. So why do you think money wasn't the motive?
Because they didn't. I mean, they left an easily searchable way to communicate. I mean, IP address, phone number, all that. They it was. I don't think any of the ransom notes that you displayed or that we talked about last time. I
The
think there
link
were
to them.
two. I don't think those were legit. I think those were. I think those were fake. That's just why would you go to the press or the TV station to deliver a ransom note? That's dumb. You would go to the family and say, "This is what I want." Why? I mean, what's the press going to be able to do? There was no return Bitcoin address, right?
No, they gave him a Bitcoin account.
Oh, there was a Bitcoin account on there. Okay. Why did they go? So I don't know. It doesn't seem.
But we
There's a
don't know
lot
if
of.
they is actually
Well,
anyone that had to do with anything.
I have a theory and I want to ask your opinion on it. So, what if the ransom notes are fake in the sense that they're not really the priority to get money, but they're real in the sense that they're from the real kidnappers as a means of
A diversion.
diverting and making basically it's a facade. It's playing into the original characters that showed up on scene as big bad kidnappers. This was the motive. Like it's all a cover, it's a ruse.
I don't know. I think it goes back to the lack of sophistication with using a tree branch to cover up the ring camera. I think these folks just don't seem overly sophisticated to me to have this again. Remember what I said last time is that we're most criminals aren't that smart and we overthink and we give them more credit for complex schemes than they really um, than they really are. I mean, they're
Yeah, I
kidnapping
can see that.
they're kidnapping an 84-year-old woman with heart problems and mobility issues. That in and of itself is just dumb, right? If you want to get something, it's just dumb. Just think about it.
But don't you think that's the ruse? That's what I'm getting at.
Then what was the original crime?
Elimination. That's it.
So
But
what
for
was the
what?
motive? That's fine, Jen, but what's the motive? Again, I
Get
go
her
back
out
to
of
the
the way.
motive.
When I looked up the statistics, it literally said the definition or the study that was done out of a university said the only time that elderly are taken, it's a very high percentage, like 60 something percent is done by family. And it's usually either the son or the grandson, which I thought was interesting. That's the highest percentage of those that commit that crime. The motive is usually to eliminate the person and move them out of the way from being have to be cared for, A. B, move them out of the way for inheritance, money involved. So
Did she
I
have did she have money?
I don't know. I know that she apparently it's public record that she took out a what do you call it?
A second
A
mortgage,
second
home
mortgage, well, a home
improvement.
improvement loan. On equity, home equity loan. Thank you. My brain finally kicked in. So a home equity loan, which apparently she'd had her home on the market at some point. It looks, in my opinion, from the trail afterwards, that there may have been some issues with the home that either people were asking to possibly get a lower price. So maybe there had been some conversations with a realtor of, look, if you make these improvements, then there won't be having to apologize. It's like, just do it. And then it can command a higher price because of, lack of fumbling around with doing things like painting the roof. So apparently she painted a new roof. There's rumors that she also improved on electrical. Who knows? It was 1970 something home that she's lived in this entire time. Now, the question I have is that the home itself was worth close to $1 million if it was sold. So that to me is significant, and that's life-changing to somebody. I would think to most people that would be life-changing money. The question that a lot of people have is that we've got $1.2 million on the table that has been offered in reward money and nobody's come forward. I personally don't think somebody's going to come forward and give a tip if they're involved. And I know that there's, high profile Mark Garagos has said that they can hire an attorney, and that attorney can broker the deal for them, even if they're involved, and keep it anonymous. And I'm like, who knows to do that? And how much does that cost to retain an attorney? Maybe they do it pro bono. I don't know. I mean, I have so many questions to the simple quote unquote answers. So I personally think it was probably just an elimination murder. I don't, or M, now that I just said that. I don't know. I just I have a lot of questions about it. I just don't, in my mind, logically, I don't understand why anybody would do it. I know people have said robbery gone wrong. The police department disclosed in a press conference that nothing was missing from the home. We later heard that the home was pristine. It looked like she got up and got a glass of water. The only evidence of something going wrong was right inside the doorway and then outside the doorway. And I showed it to Preston and I said, what does this look like? And for those of you that don't know, our oldest son, Preston, is a firefighter, EMT in a big city in North Texas. And I asked him, I said, if you came upon scene and saw something like that and you're looking for the patient, what would you think? And he goes, looks like a bloody nose. Like, and I would wonder why there was blood in the mouth, because it looks like there was, aspiration or something. And he goes, but then it would be probably from, expiration. I mean,
That sounds horrible. That's
a bop to the nose may have gone down her throat, so on and so forth. He goes, but I will tell you from what I can see on the doorstep, I would not be panicking. That's not catastrophic. That person was probably okay.
See, a lot of people have said that, but I see I don't know.
He said it's not. He goes, trust me, there's a lot that you can see and it's still fine. He said that was not significant. So
looked like a lot to me, I guess.
Okay.
But
So
can we take calls if somebody wanted to call?
Well, let me get through these last few. These people have been waiting for a while, and some of these are just, and this
I'm so sorry.
This is a good question. So, and there's a reason for it, Brian. Have you ever found a body that was put into a septic or a sewer system?
Um,
That is a good question.
we don't have many septics around here.
That's the thing. In the city, they don't.
I didn't work on it, but we had a case that made the news. I didn't work on it, but guy buried bodies in 55-gallon barrels filled with some sort of chemical.
See, there's
What did I tell you? There's the barrel.
Oh my gosh, Jen, it's like your thing.
So no, I haven't had sewers or septics, and so let me get back to your point, Jen, real quick. If it was just simply an elimination, would it not have been easier to just make it look like a home invasion that led to something that bonked her on the head? Because here's the problem. You've got at a minimum 3 crime scenes. Every time there's a crime scene, you run the risk of getting caught. There's the actual home. There's how they transported her body. There's where she did expire. Actually, 4 that I can think of. 5, transferring her body from where she expired to where they buried her. So every time, again, leading to sophistication, every time you touch the body and move it, to Locard's principle, you're leaving evidence behind.
Yeah,
so wouldn't it
I
be
can see
easier if
that.
it was just going to eliminate her, just break in, bop her in the head, open some
Leave.
drawers, make it look like a robbery, and you're done? Why would you go the risk of of having 5 different crime scenes just to make it look
Took
like an
her.
elimination. To me, that
Little
doesn't,
lady
that makes
snatcher.
it way overly complicated.
So what do you think it is? I mean, if you
I
originally
don't, I don't
said you
know the
thought
motive.
maybe family, then what would the reason be?
Not enough
I don't know.
information.
That's getting back to, I think it was Doug's question. What's the biggest mystery? It's the motive. I don't think I don't think it was money because she had none. The motive then is elimination, but that's not a motive. There has to be a motive to eliminate someone. Why are you wanting to eliminate her? I don't I don't think it was
Apparently, that was part
inheritance.
of the statistics with that study at the university, was that
Oh yeah, that's right.
was sometimes it's done just because they don't want to care for the person anymore.
Yeah. So there's lies that I had a econ professor tell me there's lies, damn lies, and statistics. So, statistics are only good in the general. We're looking at a specific case here.
Agreed.
We all know how
I
I feel about statistics.
so
So,
I don't know. I
do
don't
they
know.
ever have interview with detectives, or is it? Yeah, I wondered this too. It's always Sheriff Nanos that speaks. It's like he's not letting the POI do anything. Is that normal? Do they ever interview the actual case detectives?
Meaning the
Um,
media.
for an unsolved case or like
Yeah, an
for date,
active
I don't
case like
know.
this one. Have you ever been
No, that
interviewed and
would
they let you talk on TV?
I'd always go through the PIO. I would
PIO.
always go
When I say
through
POI, I'm thinking of
or
It's
POI.
POI, public, yeah, PIO.
PIO.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that because they're the professionals. They
public
know
information
exactly what
officer.
to say, and we tell them. They ask us, "Hey, they're going to interview us. What do you want us to release?" And then we'll tell them we want this, this, and this released. We don't get involved in that.
If it crosses into Mexico or another state, like out of Arizona, does that give the FBI immediately the rights to take the case over?
Yes, if it crosses state lines, then
See,
um,
I
that's what
think
for
we
it
the
thought,
should. Yeah.
but
for
we've
the
learned a
for the
lot
most
tonight that
part,
we.
I will. So if I can real quick talk about a case I worked. I know we're getting on our
We'd
time.
love that.
Uh,
No.
As long
there
as
was a
it's your fault that
kidnapping.
we're up late, Brian, we're fine with it. We'll be here till 3 in the morning. But I was trying to be,
I, I'm
you
still
know,
up early today, and I still have to coach tomorrow morning. If we had an abduction happen in Missouri, and the actual M happened in Kansas.
mm,
So the FBI could have taken it, but they worked it out that the state of Kansas prosecuted the entire thing. So it's not that the FBI has to take it. It just depends on where the investigation is. We had it all solved before we presented it to the prosecutors, and then the prosecutors worked it out between themselves who was going to handle all of the court. And the way it worked was Kansas took it. So it could have gone federal, but it wasn't necessary that they had it all worked out this way.
so then we've been assuming properly on that at least. Can you read that?
Oh, no. It's okay. Question: if someone is not connected but knows who is, and they insist on remaining anonymous for the reward, how would they actually get the money anonymously? Seems unlikely. Thank you, Golden Quinn.
Oh, wait a minute. I got to process that one. She's not connected, but knows who is, and they insist on remaining anonymous.
This
Oh,
is what I've been wondering.
well, this has been,
Like, why hasn't that person come forward, or why would they know?
yeah. And then we've heard that even if they're slightly involved, if you have an attorney work it out with you, you can still figure it out. And it just blows my mind, like any of that.
Well, what do you think of that question?
I mean, I would say the answer is yes, because if you give at least the requirements as I understand them here in KC, if you give a tip that leads to an arrest. So if I give a tip that says I know this person is involved, this is how I know, and it does lead to an arrest, then you could potentially, and the way I read it,
Mm.
be eligible for some, if not all, of the reward. I don't know if they prorate it, but yeah, you should be Could it be anonymous? I think so. I just don't know. I don't know how, because if you give a check, it's got to have a name on it. I guess it could go in a in an IOLTA account in a law firm, and then it could be given
Yeah, like escrow.
to the yeah, it could be kept in escrow. Then it could
Savannah
be
said you could pick it up at the
given.
post office. And I'm like, how is
What's
that
that?
In
anonymous?
a briefcase.
I don't know how that works. I'm sure there is a way. I mean,
So,
I
Brian, on the same subject, have you actually witnessed or seen, like within your career, and how often is it happen? Is it common or not that people actually get reward money?
I've seen it a couple times. It does happen. Yes. Not $1.2 million, but yes, I have. I have received questions from the crime commission that said, "Did this person provide credible evidence?" Or, this number 1234.
Okay.
Uh, you know, did they? Yes. And so
Okay.
yes, they do get. It does happen. I don't know the mechanism. I'm sure it can be done. I don't think we would have come this far in crime prevention if there was no way that this was ever anonymous.
Because there's a
Again, I don't
guy
know the
asking for
mechanism.
1 Bitcoin. And he's saying, I know who did it. I also have a phone with proof on it of who did it. And I just want 1 Bitcoin for my own safety. And they're like, well, then why don't you? And this came into TMZ, and TMZ was like, well, then why don't you send me, a photo or something to prove what you're talking about? And I thought, really? There's metadata. Like, I don't know how you would send a photo to any law enforcement and not have it encrypted in some way, or have it encrypted rather in some way that they couldn't find the metadata or something attached to that photo. I don't know. I'm not a tech person, but it sounds like you would have to be a tech person to send a photo proof and it not be traceable.
I would think so. That's out of my
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
Muddy Puddles is asking, like, she's in Canada, I think. Do we have Crime Stoppers here? Yeah, we
Yeah.
do. And there's an 800 number that's separate from all police departments and FBI that you can call. But that's what we were talking about last couple of episodes ago. Is it really anonymous?
They say it's
Like,
anonymous, but it's traceable. That's what's weird to me. It's anonymous. It's technically, you can say, I don't want to leave my name, but that doesn't mean that it's not traceable. So to me, that means it's not anonymous. That's like that's like an
But I don't
oxymoron.
think. But what would be the benefit for the Crime Stoppers or law enforcement? Now, certainly, if you're a television station or a news outlet, then you would want to dig that up. But that's why you call the Crime Stoppers,
I know where he's
because they're
going.
not going to track it back. They want to keep people anonymous because that's how they do their jobs.
Well, if
What
you
if it's the
remember,
perp?
What's that?
What if it's somebody that's involved?
yeah, but remember, Jennifer interviewed, well, several now FBI agents over the phone
4 of them.
for researching this, and every one of them said the same thing basically, is that the FBI, their hard rule is, and they've had people that have been held in contempt of court, is they do protect their sources, and they do what that their rule is, they're always going to do what they say they're going to do. And if they say they're going to protect your identity, they'll do it, because like Brian's saying, what's the benefit of not? Is then no one will ever trust you. They'll never get any information from anybody. So sometimes the cost of finding out the truth is letting a undesirable person move on down the road, I think. But
But
And yeah, that's exactly right. And Jennifer, to your question about what if they're involved, they're not going to get the money until after an arrest is made. So remember that the money doesn't pay out until the arrest is made.
right, it's
And
all
always
right.
so
step
no
one,
one's going to say,
arrest.
"Yeah, I know who did it. Give me my $1.2 million. I'm going to go flee the country." That it doesn't work that way. They have to the information has to lead to an arrest, and then they get the money. It's all after the fact. So if they're involved, I guess they could call from jail and say, "Hey, I'm the one that said I need some bail money posted. Can I get that $1.2 million to bail myself out of jail because I'm in trouble?" But yeah,
No, I think
that's
my point was, I think that's why nobody's calling. There's law enforcement, there's high profile attorneys that are going, I just think it's weird. Nobody's calling. Nobody, I mean, it's $1.2 million on the table. And I'm like, what criminal is going to call and go, P.S., It's, it's Sam. We've been friends since the 3rd grade, and he asked me to help him out. And now I'm stuck. So I know who it is. I'm trying to do this anonymously and turn him in, but I was technically driving the car. I just don't think somebody's going to call that in
Let me do my
because
poll now.
Sam will turn in Fred.
Right. That's exactly right. I mean, come
I
on.
think that's why nobody's collected it.
I was always shocked why people that knew about a crime didn't come forward. And the answer, I don't say always shocked. It's simple. People that live in that world. Now, 1.2 million is a different story, but people that live in that world um, of, they've been involved in the criminal justice system before. They're holding on to information until they get pinched, and the information on who committed a major crime is going to get them off the hook or get them a lesser sentence. So it's not about the money. It's about knowing the information so that is the information important enough if I get pinched to rat out that person. It's just a game. It's not but those are a few $1,000s. Again, this is 1.2 million. This is a
It
different
changes things. The 1.2 million
league.
for sure.
Yeah, 1.2 million is, and maybe people think that's not real, that they're not really going to get 1.2 million dollars. That it's just fake.
Well, because it's
And
not
so,
put up by law enforcement. It's put up by, it was $1 million,
right,
a one, that was
From the
put up by
family.
family and a donor. A donor put up $100,000, I believe. So I think it was like $100,000 total by law enforcement. But anyway,
right.
all right.
Well, I
so-
wanted you to see this real quick. I don't know what question was it where we were talking about. I can just do it over my head though. Golly, how many questions do we have?
There's no we.
Well, anyway, I wanted to do a quick poll to see if it's changed at all. So if you believe it's the family, put 1 in the chat. So it doesn't mean Mater and Tater. It's any family. There could be other people
Patricia's
involved.
in the chat. I think I saw her.
Yeah, Mater and Tater. That's from Patricia. But anyway, 1 is family. 2 is just kidnapping with ransom. And then today we're going to do a 3, which is just saying random. So 1, 2, or 3. 1 is family. 2 is kidnap with ransom, because that seems to be the big thing. Is it family or kidnap with ransom? Not that those couldn't cross over, but family, kidnap with ransom, and 3 is just a random act.
Wow. Look at the chat.
Oh,
Oops, I had fallen asleep.
and I
Great.
apologize. We kind of run out of
Sorry,
time
Samantha.
tonight with Brian. I didn't. There's a lot of stuff more in the chat. I just didn't get time to get to it. I got a little overwhelmed, and I mean that's a good thing, I guess.
It looks like all ones.
See, this
a
is what
couple
happens.
twos. Wow.
Kidnap with ransom.
It looks like overwhelmingly people think it's family involved.
I was watching a stream the other day, and there was an overwhelming that they were saying that was somebody that she had made mad, like in
One with help.
town.
One with help. A lot of people think, and I think, there's
What does that mean?
one of the psychiatrists or psychologists, he's also works in helping profile. He's not a profiler, but he helps profile who the criminal might be in certain cases. And he's the one that coined the term elimination M. And it's Dr. Brucato. And he said that he believes that it's a chef and a waiter. He believes there's somebody behind the scenes, like a puppet master, who is hired out to do this hit. That's what he believes. He also doesn't believe it's about money. He thinks it was just an elimination M, which is,
He could be right. I mean,
when he said it, you went, oh my gosh,
I know,
I'm never
I
going to hear
can't-
the end of it. Because I've been saying it since the beginning. I go, I really feel like this was a show. I feel like this was very performative. I felt like it was a performance to go, I'm the big bad kidnapper. And
it's for the last 5 months. I got to brag on my wife a little bit because she comes up with what I think to be extremely crazy, wild, and stupid theories. And then she gets on a streamer's show and just says it. And I can tell you have a little apprehension of even saying it sometimes. And most of the time they're like, oh, no, that couldn't be. No, next kind of a thing. And then within 24 hours, it's the major news cycle on all of the streams that we watch that is the deal now. That's the theory. And I mean, I've witnessed it. I've watched it. It's been 3 or 4 times now. So now I'm like, stop saying it on people's streams. We have our own now. Say your crazy crap here. Because,
I mean, I could be wrong. I could wake up tomorrow and they're like, no, that's not what happened. It was a wrench attack or it was a,
well, certainly.
I
But
just, for me, when I watched the video, it seemed very performative. He seemed overly relaxed, like too relaxed. Could it have been drug induced? Possibly. It just seemed overly familiar with the property.
yeah, I
And
could
now
see
we know
that.
there was reconnaissance. Google let it slip and then they recanted and, or not recanted, but, took it down. But they had an image from January 11th, said that this was from earlier in the month of January, and it was a still image with no backpack. So then we know that this person's been out, several weeks prior, casing her place. Is that abnormal for somebody who's going to steal something? I know that's not, but it did seem again like a test. Like, can she see it on the camera? Does anybody say anything to anybody the next day? And my thought was, what good does that do for him? To me, it was a performance for the camera to get a capture. And therefore, the person that saw the thumbnail would react, whether that was, you're not going to believe this, to family and friends. I saw this guy on my camera. What should I do? Or is police notified? And just sit back and watch and see what happens. I just found it a little odd because most of the cases that I looked up in Tucson that had a robbery intention, nobody was home. They had cased the places, but it was to do just that, go in while the people were gone and get what they needed. And in one case in Phoenix, I think I told you this, but it was a 1 block radius and over $600,000 worth of things were stolen from the owners from a very expensive neighborhood. That's not what this is. This is very nice homes. I know to most people, it's like, oh, it's $1 million. Yeah, but we're talking multi-million dollar homes that this happened to. Nobody was abducted. Nobody was injured. Nobody was kidnapped. I just, they went after the loot. And to your point, why wouldn't they just leave them behind? I think this was meant to look like she was abducted for ransom. I think it was meant to look like she was being kidnapped for money. And I think it was a cover for just an elimination. That's my theory. So when I said that, I got laughed off the stage of a very high profile YouTuber's page. And then later on, we find out that it seems to be that this is a common thing that some of these experts are saying that they think it is a cover. But I don't know, Brian. That's why I wanted your opinion. I mean, I'm not
I,
married
I,
to the idea. It's just what I saw.
I think it's too big of a risk.
Okay.
Again, like you said, there's 5 crime scenes. There's too big of a risk. How do you know you're not driving down the street at 2 o'clock in the morning
You're
and
right.
you don't get pulled over because you got a headlight that's burned out? I mean, and you got a body in the back. It's too big. If they're sophisticated, they're not going to take that risk of getting caught. How do they know she's not going to wake up and start screaming? Um, this case that I just mentioned that happened in Missouri and happened in Kansas. I was reading the there was a Supreme Court decision on it because um, he appealed it. One of the guys appealed it, but the victim was screaming in the back of the U-Haul. She woke up. They thought she was emmed, and she wasn't. And she woke up and was screaming. Well, there's a chance someone could hear. It's too big of a risk that you're going to do that just to eliminate someone, in my opinion. I like the theory. I think it's just too big of a risk. M's happen in homes all the time, all across the country. It's really easy to take care of that. Why would they run the risk of moving her and then having to dispose of a body? And again, 5 different crime scenes. Too much of a risk, in my opinion.
So what do you think, what would be your theory working off of this then that
I don't know. I
happened?
don't know the motive. Again, that's that one question. What is the biggest mystery out there? I don't know the motive. I haven't read any of the reports. I haven't read any of the the interviews with family. I'm sure there's something buried in there that the police should be looking into.
And is that normal that if the family has been cleared, that the vehicle being taken for almost 40 days is sealed, all of that's sealed? Is that normal, even though they've been cleared publicly?
You mean the reports and stuff?
Hmm.
What do you mean? No one's going to release anything until the case has been cleared,
Okay.
till someone's been arrested. There's no way anyone's getting any report of anything from the police file until there's been an arrest made, and
So no
really
one's
after
cleared.
trial,
I'm just going to
because
say that's not fair. Like,
well, there's a little court thing called disclosure and an impartial jury. So if how are you going to find an impartial
I
jury
know.
if it goes to trial and everyone knows everything about all the evidence and what everyone says?
Such a
So the
know-it-all.
the crazy American jurisprudence system is getting in your way. That's just the way it is. And
Okay,
um,
Brian, last thing. I know you got to get to sleep, but we wanted to show you. Jenna brought up earlier, and I just found it. What do you call this video?
So this is a person that had a federal warrant, um, and was detained, and his place was searched. A vehicle was taken for about 24 or 48 hours and returned. The attorney said that they've tried to get a copy of the warrant. It's sealed. They don't even know what the warrant is, except that it's federal. He was released the day before. His girlfriend, which he says wasn't his girlfriend, but it was somebody he was arrested with a couple years prior, or a few years prior, for drug charges, a illegal pew pew, because he had already been in, or I guess in jail at some point. Apparently, she was arrested the day before, due to outstanding warrants for other things. So there was a lot of speculation whether she was the one that turned him in. And this is his interview after being detained. And I had a lot of vibes watching this. I was just curious what yours is.
Yeah, what did you call it? The way he moves. What's that called?
Well, body language.
Body
I just
language.
want to see what
Yeah.
you think.
So let's roll clip 5.
Yeah.
Many people have believed that you are the person on the surveillance video, the abductor, the masked person. Is that you?
It's not me. I don't see the resemblance of it looking like me, but absolutely not. I have nothing to do with this case.
Nothing to do with it. Do you have any idea who is involved in the abduction?
I don't. If I did, I would happily tell FBI, police, anything. I mean, I, like everyone else, just want Nancy to come home and be safe. But that being said, I have nothing to do with this case, and that's it.
Explain to me what happened on the night you were detained, where you were, you're with your car. How did that unfold in your eyes?
So I was driving home. I noticed 2 sheriff vehicles following me. They pulled me over at the Culvers right there, asked me to get out of the car, didn't tell me what it was about. So they had me cuffed in the back of a cop car, detained. I was asking, like, what am I being detained for? And they wouldn't tell me anything. They just said that the detectives would be there to talk to me. And once I saw, like, FBI and all the other cars start pulling in, I'm like, oh, this is probably about the Guthrie case. I'm like, this should be easy. Like, I have nothing to do with this, so it should be not a big deal to clear my name and move on. But the whole time during the questioning, didn't really seem like more of like a fishing expedition for them.
We'll play a little bit more. It gets worse, but I just wanted to point out, or Jennifer is pinching me about it. I think it's that for this interview, he shaved his face, changed his appearance. Now he has on like 5 layers of clothing, but I think that may just be
Could be the nicest outfit he has.
Yeah, and he didn't. And also keep in mind it's like 85 degrees that day or 90. It
No, it
wasn't.
was in the 90s. It's Arizona, and it was later.
So keep watching.
To try to get me to say something, because all the dates I was telling them where I was, things like that. I'm like, all you'd have to do is look at my phone and see my location. It was nowhere near anywhere or have any connection to this. But still, it was tough, like being there. Like, I mean, I don't trust the FBI to the extent that I'm like thinking that there's pressure on this case and they want to find the person. So like the whole time while I'm sitting in the back of the cop car, I'm like panicking, thinking that I'm gonna be framed for this, or they're trying to pin this on me somehow.
Did they tell you what led them to you? I mean, something made them believe they needed to talk to you about it. What was that?
I asked them. They didn't tell me any information about that. And I have thought of any type of reason why they could have come after me, but there's nothing, and I think that's why they didn't tell me.
Were you in the area of the home at the time, like the overnight, or would it have been something like, we've tracked this person near the abduction scene?
I live near her house, but I mean, I didn't even know that until after the fact. Like, I barely just learned where her actual house was in relation to mine. So I didn't even know.
Had you ever met her?
No.
Did you know who she was?
I knew who she was because my mother was following the case. But in terms of other than that, I would just go off what my mother was telling me.
And so how long were you detained for?
Probably maybe 4 or 5 hours.
In the back of that car the whole time? And they searched your Range Rover extensively?
Yeah, they searched Range Rover. They towed my Range Rover. Did all DNA testing or whatever, and then gave it back to me. Took my cell phone. I've had no way to get a hold of anyone, which is
feel like
probably
he's
a good
about to
thing
pass
because
out.
everyone's looking at me like I'm this person that I'm not. So it's been rough.
You got your car back
Yes.
in rough condition, or was it okay?
Well, when I went to pick it up, like it wouldn't start. I guess they drained the battery down, and it was just covered in the whatever white substance that they use for testing. But yeah, then I got it started up, and it wasn't. Luckily, it wasn't damaged in terms of like repairs or anything. But
So when they released you, what did they say? They say you're free? Did they say never mind? I mean, what was the verbiage there from them?
They had just told me that they were still at my house, so I couldn't go home. But they drove me somewhere near the house and just dropped me off. And I was like, well, I don't have a phone. How am I supposed to figure out when I can go back to the house? And they basically said, you're just gonna have to figure that out. So, I mean, I waited just where they dropped me off at for maybe an hour or so. I had a friend that lived near the area, and I walked over there. They weren't home, so I was just waiting, like basically just on their patio. And then it got to the point where I'm like, well, they should be done by now. I walked back to my house, and this was like the worst part for me, is getting there and seeing the house torn up. But the worst part was my mom not being there, and her being elderly and having AFib and things like that. I'm thinking the worst. Like, I see her car's here, but she's not there, and I don't have my phone to get a hold of her. So I'm wondering what happened, if I need to start calling hospitals or what the deal was. But luckily, I guess she went to one of the neighbors, but I didn't find that out until the next day.
Right. You were detained and released, but you've said it, your face, your name, it's everywhere online. People still believe you were either involved or did this. What's that been like for you to have your name, your picture, even a past mugshot all over the internet associated with this case?
I mean, for me, it's terrible. It's hard to go anywhere, and the hard part is they're making all these assumptions based on things that have absolutely no relevance, and they're just bringing up my past, which I do have a past, but nothing violent or anything like that. All my past has just been involved with using drugs, and I haven't been in that life for over 2 years now. So all the things that they're bringing up, I guess it's public record, but it would have came out if it wasn't for all these people speculating and doing things like that. So now people that had no idea about my past, so I've done like a good job of working past it and, not having anything to do with it. So them doing that now is kind of just reopening this whole speculation and make me out to look like this bad person, which I'm not.
And it's not just been you. People have found, records of an alleged girlfriend of yours. There's been a lot of rumors swirling around. What do you want to say about those rumors, about you, about her, about, everybody that people have looked at and said, well, they could do this?
Yeah, first of all, that's not my girlfriend. I barely knew that girl, and I was arrested with her on a completely different circumstance over a year ago. I haven't talked to her since, and I guess they're just going off of the arrest saying that I was arrested with her, but I hardly know her and don't associate with her. But in terms of everything else, I mean, all the speculation is just going off of, I don't even know if people really believe it, but online it just seems like they're pushing this narrative and trying to make connections with things that are, I don't know, basically like circumstantial, like saying my eyelashes match the guy in the ski mask picture, which I'm sure like if you could use anyone's picture and find similarities.
And you don't recognize the person on that, in that footage?
No, I don't. But in terms of all this, like I said, they're comparing my face to this. They're talking about my Range Rover, which I didn't even buy until after she was reported missing.
It was a new car, yeah?
Yeah.
For you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're talking about another car that was towed off my property. That car wasn't an accident, has nothing to do with this. It wasn't towed in relation to this case. It was being towed by the insurance company to assume if it was totaled or not. So that had nothing to do with the case. There's no evidence to point towards me other than speculation.
You really have no idea what led them to you in this case?
Absolutely not.
Still a mystery to you?
Yes, and I would love to find out.
Were you dealing mostly with sheriff's deputies or FBI agents when you were detained?
When I was detained by the sheriffs, but in terms of all the questioning was done by the FBI.
What would you like to say to both PCSD and the FBI?
Basically what I told them before, if there's anything, I'm happy to help. If there actually was something real that I could help them with.
So it just goes on a little longer. Then there's a little clip at the end where they were sitting him, getting him ready for the interview, and how awkward that was.
And that's Brianna Whiteley. She's now with Crime Junkies. She's an amazing reporter. I think she asked a lot of hard questions, even to Nanos, that a lot of people felt like, whoa. I mean, she's kind of young, but she was with Arizona Family there in Tucson and did this reporting, and she got the interview.
Yeah, she did a really good job on that.
So what do you think after seeing that, being a detective?
I mean, it's hard to know.
Did anything jump out at you?
The first tell is she asked him the first two questions she asked were yes or no questions, a one-word answer, yes or no. And he went on and on and on and on. You know, if I ask you, did you M that person? What are the answer? The answer is yes.
No.
Or the answer is no. When you go on and you try to prove your case, well, I mean, he went way too long. Especially the second question was the one that jumped out at me. It's something about that, and he goes, "Well, I didn't know," and blah blah. It just on and on. It's just a yes or no question. That's a tell for someone that's trying to obfuscate and kind of redirect the question. So those were the first two things that jumped out at me. His breathing was really awkward. He seemed to be breathing a lot. He wasn't fidgeting. Didn't look like he was sweating, at least that I could tell. But his answers were way too long, kind of like mine are. But the biggest question the biggest tell in my mind was he was asked a yes or no question. He gave way too long of an answer. That is oftentimes, and then I'm sure the FBI is doing this, or the police department or sheriff, but how was the new Range Rover paid for? I mean, was it an insurance check from the car, but they haven't decided if it was totaled yet? I'm sure someone's doing all of that. I mean, someone's doing all that forensic accounting.
Apparently, and this is a rumor. There's people that have talked about it, that apparently the mother paid for it with cash, a check, his mother. The car was a blue Charger, and apparently it had a tarp on it. And in the front of his driveway, he said that I think he said it in there, that the insurance company was towing it because people thought it was towed. My question is, why wasn't that towed? It was his vehicle. It was damaged, and he had only had that Range Rover for like a few days. And she had been gone for quite a while at this point. So I would have thought that they would have impounded the vehicle that would have been something he would have been using around the time of Nancy Guthrie, not the one later. And they actually put up this huge tarp when they went to open up the trunk and covered it up. I mean, they had 5 people holding it before you could even see in the vehicle. They wouldn't let anybody look, and everybody's like, well, I guess they just didn't want the public doing it. The only time any of us have ever seen that is when there's a body or inside. Just seemed a little odd, but obviously there wasn't. Gave him the car back. So anyway, just very interesting.
Yeah, we're not saying, again,
Yeah, a lot of people saying his mom bought it, his mom paid for it.
we're not saying anyone's guilty of anything. It's
course
just
not.
it's just interesting to see these things and watch them again, a few months later, and see if you still feel the same way. And I kind of do. Like, I don't know if he's porch guy or not, but I feel like he knows something. And again, why was he selected to pull over and interrogate? And it's sealed. They won't tell us. So
Well, I thought he had
Right.
to tell
Well,
when
they're
they
not-
asked about the girl. He got
they're-
very
they're-
upset looking to me, but
Yeah, they're not going to release. They're just not going to release that. I mean, they'll. But again, I think I wrote down a different answer to one of your questions, or maybe it was a different question.
Mm.
The biggest thing in a homicide, and I can't say homicide, in a major investigation, is you have to follow the leads. And a guy getting a new car is a lead. How is it paid for? So no one's saying anything, but these are just the leads that have to be followed up. You can't interview a person, because they had to have gotten a warrant for his car. I doubt he would have signed. He's been through the system. I doubt he would have given consent. And given the nature of this, they would have wanted to get a warrant anyway. So they had probable cause to do something to that vehicle. Even though he had been driving it recently, they could tell it was probably purchased subsequent to the disappearance. So all these leads have to be followed up on. It's just
Yeah.
you follow the leads, and if it leads to a dead end, if mom won $100,000 at the casino, then okay, the car, you can check that lead off. Okay, you don't need to follow up, but you can't just not investigate it. You just have to follow the leads. Something led the investigators, to this guy, and for the FBI to question him seems odd to me, rather than the.
Brian, it was like 50 SWAT cars. It was like insane. I mean, it was SWAT car after SWAT car after SWAT car, but
So
I guess it does.
I've done some tactical things with the feds. That's how they do things. They're
All
just
right.
they served a search warrant because I think our TAC guys were busy. They had we've got a team of 6 that goes in, and they're very efficient and they do their thing. I think they had 15 or 18 vehicles there just for
Okay,
small
that's what
houses.
this was.
That's just how they do things.
Okay.
They don't do a lot of this
overwhelm the
work. At
person.
least,
Yeah.
yeah, at least in the Midwest, they don't do a lot of warrants. Mainly the locals that do them. But when they do, man, they go all in. They
Interesting.
go all in. So
Well,
it doesn't take 50 cars to subdue one person.
yeah. Well, it was 2
Um,
locations because, he was at the Culvers, like he said, and then they went to his home. Apparently his mom was there and a brother is what we were told. And they detained them in a different household. I just thought it was interesting that his mother and he both assumed that when they were being pulled over and investigated in the home, oh, this must have something to do with Nancy Guthrie. I thought that was a little odd.
yeah, yeah, yep.
But they live 2
Absolutely.
miles. I mean, it's like super close. Like, I mean, maybe 5 minutes from Nancy Guthrie's.
Well, let's let
So,
Brian get to sleep,
yeah.
and we'll see you Sunday. I'm just kidding.
See
We
me
can't.
Sunday tomorrow.
He's messing with you. Thank you so much
We're
for
gonna
coming on
get.
tonight.
I guarantee I'm watching the chat. I can't get to everybody. I'm so sorry. I lost control of the chat. I didn't realize we would have 600 people in here.
Yeah, we're
I'll
just
make
this is only our official
But if
2-week mark
we have
episode today.
600, it's about to turn 600, and we have 275 people that have liked. So I would really appreciate. I have no idea how much it helps us
Please.
to get those likes. So if you haven't liked, just please hit the little thumbs up.
Hit
It
the
doesn't
like for
do
Brian.
anything. No one will call you. If you sub, you can sub too. Like when you hit the little sub thing, we don't email you or call you. It doesn't do anything. It just lets you know when we're going to come on again. That's it.
Yeah, hit the
So we
little bell.
appreciate it. Yeah, hit the
Yeah.
little bell. What is it? Sub,
Alert.
like, and
Yeah.
we really appreciate everybody. We're humbled. And Brian, thank you so much. And maybe we'll send some more of the comments your way. And if there's any questions that you may have answers to, if they go to the tip line and email us, or you can go right on the comment section of the YouTube channel is even the best way, because those get alerted to us even quicker.
We know how busy you are, and we really appreciate it. This was, backed by popular demand. This was insane. We had so many people asking for you to come
Yeah.
back, so we
The
really
Brian fan
appreciate it.
club.
I am happy to help you guys. I'm related to you, so I'm happy to help you guys. Whatever you need. I will say though, we've got a big thing up here through the first week in August, so I'm going to be really busy. But maybe after that weekend, first week in August, if I
Sure,
can help
August 8th, you
again.
got it.
We'll take anything we can get,
Yeah,
Brian. We really appreciate it.
I'm going to be tied up till August 7th or 8th. I think it ends. So
Okay, no problem.
Awesome. We'll set something up again then for the middle of August or something. And
Well, you, Patriot Pride, other streamers, we were on Mab Investigates last night. There's been so many people that have been so supportive and so kind. All of our mod, Major Rammer Jammer, there's so many people in the chat. I can't even name everybody. I can't thank you enough. Everybody's been very kind. Glenn and I were very humbled. We were told over and over and over again, the YouTube, thing is a struggle, because Brian, if you don't know, like, I had a YouTube channel, but I did nothing with it. It was just a placeholder in case I ever did anything for decor. So I forgot I even had it. I used it so I could comment in chats and whatever when I started going on YouTube. Anyway, we used that as our channel, renamed it, and here we are. So our first episode was 2 weeks ago today.
with 7
And-
years in the making, if you look online.
Golly, it sounds like it. But we've only done,
because you had the account for 7 years, so people
Right.
think we've been doing this for 7 years, and
no.
we haven't.
This is only our 7th, 8th episode total?
This is
'Cause we did
episode number 7.
7 of lives.
Yeah.
And there's 2 tiers on YouTube that you have to hit or whatever to be able to do anything fun, like super chats, or people can do all these little things that become members and all this stuff. And we hit it in 12 days, everybody. And we were told 6 months. So that's thanks to all of you. We can't thank you enough.
Let's let Brian go, and then we'll.
It's been overwhelming.
I don't know what any of that means, but
Yeah.
congratulations. So,
Thank you. We're a big deal now. No, I'm kidding.
All
No,
right.
no, for
Thank you,
us, it
man.
was a big deal to hit that, because that means that this many people liked what we're bringing. They like us bringing people like you to talk about the case. I think there's a lot of people that really, really care. Like I said, she's America's grandma, and they want to find her. And there's other cases that people have brought to our attention too. I think people like the show format, that we bring facts. We don't mind talking about theory, but let's talk about facts and what really happens with a case investigation. And that's why you tonight was so important, to reiterate some of those points. And we can't thank you enough.
Yeah, I learned a lot about stuff tonight for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, very good.
All right, Brian.
Thanks,
We'll get some
Brian.
sleep, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye.
Work out for me.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh gosh, that was good.
Wow, that was awesome.
Yeah, the whole, releasing the crime scene back in 48 hours.
Yep.
He's not the only one that said that to us, but he's the one I trust the most, and it's normal. We
Yeah.
gotta stop trying to find fault where there really isn't any, just because it makes us feel like, oh, we know something, they shouldn't have released the crime scene back. Now, whether mistakes made, yeah, I think it was mistakes were like who they assigned to the case. Maybe the things that drove me nuts at the very beginning were like when they had the gloves, they were looking for gloves. Then all of a sudden they're finding gloves and like, oh, evidence. No, those are gloves from the other inspectors and investigators that were there, taking their gloves off and throwing them on the ground. And then you pointed
You're
out
going to start
tonight
something in the chat because you know that they found out that some of those gloves were
were
planted.
random. Yeah.
No, planted.
By who?
They're saying potentially by
Oh, see,
media.
I don't believe any of
No,
that.
it came out in the media. The police talked
All
about it.
right. It's just whatever. And then her shirt being at the front sidewalk there, that's a problem for me. Because that is evidence. It should have been bagged and tagged as like the little Easter egg, as you know we do now. Jennifer's little display back there. That's Brian's old badge. No, I'm just
No,
kidding.
it's
It's not his, but could be. And then the evidence bag and the cactuses because, or is it cacti? I can't remember.
Cacti.
Cacti.
So who do we have in the chat here? Oh, wow. Lots of familiar faces.
Yeah, that's the problem is.
Muddy Puddles, BB Criminals, Patricia, Miss Patricia, Jody Wood, Truth Warrior. Hi, Truth Warrior. I know how late you were up last night.
This morning.
Pebbles. Oh my gosh, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. And Major Rammer Jammer, our awesome mod. Everybody give him a high five and thank him for us. We can't thank you enough. Oh, Jody Lynn. Just Jaylene.
Can you hand me my water?
Oh, that's for you, Jaylene, and Truth Warrior and Inner Truth. Where is everybody? The water. Those are just Jen's gloves. That's right. Oh my gosh. You guys are awesome. Thank you. I feel like it's our own little private little club. I'm so glad you guys are here. We have met the nicest people, the emails, the comments. I mean, look, let's be honest. Most people, when they comment on a business, it's to say, it's crap. My waitress sucked. You know? Most people don't go and comment on a business and say, it was awesome. I had a great experience. And we are getting so many awesome comments, and we can't thank you enough for the kindness. Look, we're learning here. We're trying to get our sea legs.
Even the horribly rude ones, we like those too. Please send those as well because it gives us something to talk about.
I mean, all joking aside, I think we've had what, 4?
Maybe.
Maybe
I'm
5?
just joking. I don't know.
In 7 episodes? I'll take it.
We know.
So,
Listen, the reason I want all the rude comments is because then you know that you're doing something right. Well, they say you've made it when you have your haters. Well, I made it a long time ago, so I've got plenty of haters.
no, and I mean, all joking aside, everybody's been really, really kind, really trying to help. I think that that's when you recognize that this community is all about the victims and the victims' families and getting some answers. And I will tell you that we do have one guest that has said that she would join us to answer some questions from all of you and from us. And that's Glenn's mom. She's in her 80s. And she had a lot to say when I said, would you mind talking? And she goes, not at all. Do I have to be on camera? I said, yes. So anyway,
Go. Yeah, it's fine.
she's been
Have you
hanging
been
out
sitting
watching.
there? Just mom, you can go do whatever you want to do.
So yeah, say hi,
maybe-
Glenn's mom.
She's going to be here through
Yeah.
Tuesday, so maybe we can have her on Monday.
Yep, we can do that.
Yeah.
We can change our plans.
And
Yep.
then
Glenn wants the remote chat.
I know, and then Truth Warrior sent us an email and it's a song. We didn't get it in time, so I have another one that Major Rammer Jammer did for us.
Yes, we have our feel good. If some of you are just joining us, we want to say thank you so much. If you've never been here before, I'm Jennifer. It's my husband, Glenn. We live in the Ozarks, and we want to bring justice to any of the victims and families that have been affected by true crime. Right now, we're focused on the Nancy Guthrie case, but we've also brought other cases, and we plan to do those as well. But when you talk about something this heavy and heart-wrenching, I like to end the show with a feel good. So I've had some people send me some feel good, so now we have a backlog, and we're gonna play. Usually it's a little video of something to just kind of end the show on a positive note. And our mod made us a song So it's going to play that with some video from our property and some of the cool things we've seen
The
recently.
goings on around here.
Yeah.
So yeah, without further ado,
And then
this
we'll be
is
right back after that, but we just want to share this.
a song by Major Rammer Jammer.
Welcome to ThornBridge, under the break room light. Jam brings the facts, Glenn brings the hard truth. Cold case folders open, names we will not lose. We follow every thread for the ones abused. No smoke, no gloss, just the line and the cost. If it happened, we'll say it. If they're missing, we'll pray. ThornBridge X Unfiltered, truth and justice. ThornBridge X Unfiltered, we speak for the missing. Jen wants the facts, Glenn keeps it real. ThornBridge X Unfiltered, that's how we heal. ThornBridge X Unfiltered, truth and justice. Jen reads every file, every date, every bruise. Glenn sees the hard road and the traps they use. We don't dress it up, we don't look away. We say the names out loud till the records say. No match, no spin, only what broke in. Every witness, every detail, every silence we unseal. ThornBridge X Unfiltered, truth and justice. ThornBridge X Unfiltered, we speak for the missing. Jen wants the facts, Glenn keeps it real. ThornBridge X Unfiltered, that's how we heal. ThornBridge X Unfiltered, truth and justice. If the trail goes cold, we go back again. If the room goes quiet, we turn up the flame. Banjo cuts through that midnight haze. Guitar bite hard as we chase the case. ThornBridge X Unfiltered.
Isn't
There
that
you
awesome?
go.
Say
Hi, Mom.
hi. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. And we can't thank everybody enough for joining us tonight. Thank you, Brian, for coming on and helping us break this case down into pieces and put it back together and help us feel a little bit better about how things are going. Thank you to our awesome mod, Major Rammer Jammer, for that awesome song and for the awesome night, for being here and supporting us. Thank you for all of you that subscribed tonight. We are so thankful.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you so
usually
much.
call everyone out. The little things came up. I don't think the super chats was working, but we'll figure it out.
We're trying to figure things out. Thanks again for being patient with us as we figure this channel out and where we're going, but we can't thank you enough for being here. So the case is closed for tonight, but the search for the truth continues. So stay curious, stay unfiltered.
And always stay unapologetic.
Thank you, everybody. Have a